On Saturday, President Trump posted something on Truth Social that every financial editor in London read very carefully, and that almost nobody in American media explained correctly.
The United Kingdom, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all. We don't need them any longer, but we will remember.
Every headline called that a humiliation of Keir Starmer, but they're all looking at the wrong battlefield. The Post is a message to the City of London, and to understand it, you have to ask the one question nobody is asking. Britain has dragged us into every war since World War I, every single time. Why did they sit this one out? Here's Starmer giving Parliament the answer.
I am clear in my mind that any UK action must always have a lawful basis. It must also always have a viable and thought-through plan.
Yes.
And it must be in our national interests.
Yes.
The Leader of the Opposition, I think, is saying she would have joined the initial strikes whether they were lawful or not.
Illegal, not in Britain's national interest. Britain didn't stay out because Starmer suddenly grew a conscience. Britain stayed out because this war is bad for the City of London's business. And Trump knew that when he launched it. I'm Barbara Boyd. I've tracked the fight between empire and sovereign nations for decades. Three things we're covering today: the oil price hoax created by the City of London, the moves Trump has made to kill it, and why we will remember is formal notice that the post-war special relationship is finished. Let's start with what you're being told right now. Oil prices are spiking. Tankers can't get insurance. The Strait of Hormuz is a war zone and closed. That is what every anchor, every financial correspondent, every headline is saying. They're trying to create a panic to damage President Trump's economic agenda ahead of the midterms. It's not true. Here's Energy Secretary White telling you exactly that.
Gasoline prices up 14% in the past week, according to AAA. Reports the national average is $3.45. We've seen oil prices spike. How high do you think oil and gas are going to go?
They shouldn't go much higher than they are here because the world is very well supplied with oil. There's no energy shortage at all in the Western Hemisphere.
Right.
The United States is a net exporter of oil, a large net exporter of natural gas, but refineries in Asia and Europe are seeing an interruption from the normal crude flows. But there is massive energy stores around the world. What you're seeing is emotional reactions and fear that this is a long-term war. This is not a long-term war.
This is not a supply problem. This is not a transportation problem. The oil is there. The ships are there. What happened is that Lloyd's of London, the city's insurance arm, pulled war risk coverage from Persian Gulf shipping within hours of the conflict beginning. When Lloyd's won't insure your tanker doesn't sail. That's not the market reacting to war. That's the city engineering a price spike on command. Now, here's the business model behind that move. The City of London controls the pricing mechanisms for the world's most critical raw materials: oil, rare earths, lithium, copper, etc. Not by producing them, by controlling the contracts, the futures markets, the insurance, the shipping lanes. Whoever controls those choke points collects a toll on everything that moves on the planet. Lloyd's canceling tanker coverage isn't risk management, it's pulling a lever. And watch what happens when Trump moves against one of their nodes. Chatham House, the city's public foreign policy arm, immediately declared the Iran operation illegal.
There's no ready legal basis that can be invoked in order to justify the present operation. In international law, you can use force only in extraordinary, exceptional circumstances. The prohibition of war is particularly important for the international system, and that's why these circumstances are narrowly defined. Either there has to be a UN mandate, which clearly that isn't the case here, or there has to be a case of self-defense. But self-defense does not apply in relation to abstract threats that might materialize in future.
They said the exact same thing about Venezuela. Every time Trump moves against a node in the city's network, Chatham House suddenly discovers international law. They're not making a legal argument. They're running a protection racket for their interests. And London's own real estate trade press published pieces this week salivating over Gulf sovereign wealth funds fleeing the conflict zone and parking higher capital in London property. The city didn't just engineer the oil price hike, it is positioning itself to profit from the disruption it created. That is the business model. And I'm going to tell you now exactly how Trump is killing it. If you're beginning to see that the world works very differently than what you're being told, that there is a unified strategy that Trump has, then you need Promethean Action's free newsletter. It is your inoculation against the cyber war being aimed at you right now, every single day. Go to PrometheanAction.com now and subscribe. A writer I respect put it perfectly this week. The pundits panicking around Iran and feeding that panic are making the oldest mistake in the Trump playbook. They're looking at one chess piece and missing the board. Let me show you the board. On March 6, Treasury Secretary Bessent announced a $20 billion U.S. maritime reinsurance plan, political risk insurance, and naval escorts for commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Lloyd's pulled coverage. Trump replaced Lloyd's. That stranglehold physically is gone. It's been sold. Let's listen to Secretary Bessent with Larry Kudlow.
There's some very inaccurate reporting and a terrible report from J.P. Morgan, which was completely irresponsible. And I have to say, they just low grade. I mean, if I were still wearing my professor hat, I would have given the analyst an F. Because what's going to happen here, Larry, is now approximately 100, before the conflict, approximately 100 ships a day came out of the Straits of Hormuz. And we can provide cover for those ships. But the real thing is we don't have to provide the DFC cover once they are out of the Straits and out of the Gulf region, because then they can go back to their regular insurance. Right? So it's just a completely flawed assumption. Front page of the FT. They should, J.P. Morgan and the FT should both be ashamed.
Did you catch who Bessent went after? The Financial Times, the City of London's house newspaper, and J.P. Morgan Chase, the city's longest-running American fund. Last November, Jamie Dimon hosted King Charles' birthday party at J.P. Morgan's New York headquarters. That's not a banking relationship. That's a vassal paying tribute to his sovereign. And basically, all that Dimon did was talk about the special relationship and lavish praise on the monarchy. But when Bessent singles them out, he knows exactly what he's pointing to. The engineered oil spike had a second kill shot. Treasury Secretary has lifted Russian sanctions to allow India to fill its refineries. And Bessent told Kudlow the administration will do a lot more of this if necessary. Russian oil flooding back onto world markets? Well, then the engineered price spike collapses. The city has blocked Ukraine peace for months because the war and sanctions and terrorism are profit centers. Ending Russian sanctions to kill London's oil gambit is pure Trump justice. That's exactly why we're now hearing intelligence leaks claiming Russia gave Iran targeting data on us. No corroboration, perfect timing to poison the sanctions deal. Trump dismissed it flatly, and the Washington Post had a conniption fit. Now, here's what the City of London doesn't want you to know about its business model. It's not just oil. The Guardian reported that nearly 40% of all dirty money globally is laundered through London and its crown dependencies, the Caymans, Jersey, the British Virgin Islands. 4 out of $10 of criminal money on Earth flows through that square mile and its satellites. That's not a side business, that's a core revenue stream. The drug trade, the arms trade, criminal finance of every kind, and Trump is going after all of that simultaneously. On Saturday, Trump hosted the Shield of the Americas Summit at Doral with 12 Latin American nations. 2 days earlier, Secretary Hegseth convened the first Americas Counter-Cartel Conference. Here's what he said.
More than 1 million Americans were killed by fentanyl, cocaine, and other drugs. numbers greater than any casualties we've sustained in war. We want unfettered access to key terrain and trade so that our nations can industrialize.
Read that carefully. Unfettered access to key terrain and trade so that our nations can industrialize. That is not drug war language. That is American system economics. These 12 nations have committed to joint military and intelligence operations to destroy the cartels and the financial institutions that launder their money. The city's offshore haven network is directly in the crosshairs. But here's the move the press completely missed. Two coalition members, Argentina and Chile, hold some of the world's largest lithium and rare earth deposits. Trump is talking about developing those resources jointly, just as he is doing with Venezuela's oil. The Gulf investment that was supposed to flood into London after the conflict, the Telegraph reports Trump was already far ahead in the queue. And after America defended the Gulf while Britain sat on its hands, that money is coming our way instead. The city makes its money by controlling the raw materials trade and collecting the toll, never developing the nations it strips. Trump's model of joint development destroys the business at the root. It's the same thing with the Board of Peace in the Middle East. Connect Venezuela, connect Iran, connect Argentina and Chile. These are not separate foreign policy initiatives. They are moves on the same board against the same enemy. And that opponent is losing on every front simultaneously. Let's go back to the True Social post because I want to read it the way the City of London read it. The United Kingdom, our once great ally, may be the greatest of them all. We don't need them any longer, but we will remember. Everyone read that as Trump humiliating Starmer, and yes, Starmer's performance was a masterclass in cowardice. Blocked U.S.-based access, reversing course, then posing as the calm statesman. But Trump is not talking to Keir Starmer. Starmer is the public face. Trump is talking to the people behind Starmer. He is talking to the city. The real special relationship has always meant something very specific. The city sets the global financial architecture. Wall Street executes it domestically. The United States military enforces it around the world. That is what the rules-based international order actually means every time you hear it from Chatham House, the Council on Foreign Relations, or their captive politicians right here in the United States. 250 years ago, this nation declared its independence from the very same imperial system. This week, for the first time in a very long time, that declaration is being enforced. It's not going to be easy. We're dealing with over 40 years of them building their empire. Promethean Action is doing more than exposing this. We are building a movement that understands what sovereign nationhood actually means, and it backs the urgent fight to restore it ahead.
Welcome, Patriots, to Feisty Digs, episode 34. Good to see everybody. And again, welcome. Good to see. Wow, look at Rumble is lit today, as well as pilled.net. I didn't even bother doing live on X, but maybe I will kick that off here in just a few. But again, guys, welcome. We have got a lot to get into today. There's a lot going on in the news. However, I think Feisty's going to set the stage quite nicely, segueing from our Friday night, hell of a mind-blowing segment towards the end of It Needed to Be Said, where Feisty just couldn't help herself and had to tickle my, interest with what the hell is going on regarding Epstein, regarding the City of London, and now this interesting character, Mohammed Al-Fayed, father of one Dodi Fayed, and former owner, now he's dead, of Harrods department store, very high-end department store. What does this all have to do, and why is he being alleged to conduct a, quote, Epstein-like trafficking operation that trafficked over 150 girls to no one? Question mark. What's up, Feisty?
Hey there.
Hey. Well, first of all, how was your weekend?
Busy.
Yes, it was busy. Hey, all fairness, this wasn't homework that I gave you. You took it upon yourself, right?
Sort of.
So,
Sort of. You know those niggling questions. Why this? Why that?
Yeah.
Well, it becomes self-assigned homework when you can't figure it out. I've got a lot to get into today.
yes, you do. Do you agree or disagree that you should segue nicely?
Promethean ladies?
Yes.
Yeah, they actually, I'm going to give you some of the background as to why the House of Cards is coming down.
Ooh, good.
I've got all kinds of information, and if you don't mind, it's a lot.
Yes. The floor is going to be completely yours today.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm anticipating you on blowing everybody's, not just my mind, but
So
everybody's
to get
mind.
back to the Harrods thing,
Yes.
it's clear to me that London is shaking down Qatar. Qatar owns the Harrods franchise, and they're kind of upset with Qatar lately, especially with this whole shadow banking thing being exposed. They need kind of money.
I'm going to have some interesting questions regarding Qatar, whichever pronounced.
However it's pronounced.
I got some interesting questions.
But I don't really get into that too heavily today, just so you're aware.
Perfect. Hey,
We'll save that for Thursday. Is that okay?
it is your show.
Okay. Today, I thought it was a lot more important to talk about black swans.
Yeah, shout out to Kirill.
Yeah, wasn't that nice?
Yep.
I actually had to go get his slide, his GIF. I thought it was so pretty.
It is pretty. Yes. Black swan with a crown on its head.
Yeah.
Very indicative of what's to come, maybe? Forecasting?
Very indicative of exactly what's happening.
Oh, shit.
It's already happening.
Well, shout out to everybody over in Rumble. There, I see Just Kevin Doinky. Is that a new name? Doinky, welcome. Did you fix your sound issues? I was seeing the chat said you had. Says I'm connected to Bluetooth and I'm there. Still is no sound. Yeah, I think that's on his end.
It must be. Refresh.
Yeah, let us know, everybody. We're 5x5. I'm sure. I was just listening on my phone. So good. Hey, there's Ann Boyer. What's up, Ann Boyer? We got Bearish Mama, Shayla, Corvette 327. That's a great handle. There's Shelly, Patriot DGL, Cam Vanoy, Danishell, Ire Schultz. We got A Fritz, only one NRS. We had somebody jump in the. Hey, what's up, April Annie? Says Sean. After finally hearing about the dig on Muhammad Al Fayed, I am ready to hear more of that. Yes, it was wild, wasn't it? I was trying to make sense of it in real time. I know what she sent me was, and I was just, oh my gosh, what? There's so much going on. Maybe if we can figure this out, we can actually figure out possibly what happened to Princess Di, maybe. And many other things. But good to see Ron Elwitt. Hey, there's S. Jones 39. Welcoming everybody over in Rumble World. And we got some gold pills already right out the gate over on Pilled. Catherine B. with a pair of banger shades. Yeah, Feisty. Today's show is going to be mind-blowing, she says. Finally figured out how to get gold pills. Let's go, Catherine B. Good to see you over on Pilled. Dylan, 19.
He's a step ahead of me. I still haven't figured it out.
Oh, come on. It's not that difficult. Right, Catherine? Maybe Catherine can confirm or deny for that matter.
I have to go into a private coaching with her.
Matter of fact, if and when Ash shows up, she can send anybody a tutorial that I made about how to navigate Pilled. It's not that difficult. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple.
That's the problem. I'm still trying to get the hang of it.
Yeah. Let's see. Dylan, 1954. Thank you for the 117 gold pills. Curious Cat with a cookie says, hi, Sean and Feisty. Hi, Curious Cat. And Ohio Kimmy with a cookie. There's Mitchell DM. What's up, bro? Thank you for the can. Good to see you. As always, just fed up with a cookie. S. Jones, 39 with a can, says, I need some more coffee for this one. She says she loves me some Feisty digs.
I have people in my chat room saying they got their notebooks ready.
Probably going to need it.
Actually, I believe that was, oh, God, now I can't remember.
Probably going to need it. April Annie.
All right. Actually, today's show is an incredible show. And the reason why, as I think is we try to navigate through our days, we don't really understand what the hell's going on.
Nope.
Isn't that safe? And nor can we intellectually connect how everything is connecting. And that it's been a steady plan right along.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that fair?
Yep. Fair to say. Yep.
So when Kirill put out the Black Swan, what was your first thought, Sean?
Well, I learned about it through you. You're the one who sent it to me. And when first of all, define what a Black Swan event is for everybody.
It's usually a catastrophic financial event.
But it's the financial aspect of it. That's
typically, yeah.
Okay. So complete reset. Is it going to be? My first instinct was, okay. Is it going to be?
No, that's the result of a Black Swan. We've had them before. We had one in 2008. We had one when Khashoggi died, and the Khashoggi one is the one that
Jamal Khashoggi.
Okay, Khashoggi.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one that really perked my interest because what you realize is that a shadow banking system isn't just money; it's also information.
Yep.
And as I've been telling you, Epstein prided himself on his network. Right? He put together one hell of an information network.
Arguably both sides.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I'm saying. Bad boy persona works to get inside of certain networks that you wouldn't normally have access to, right? If you're a good guy.
So, all right. Here's my analysis real quick is I found it interesting of that, especially that email you sent me between him and not Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman himself.
Well, he was Crown Prince at the time of that email.
But it was an email exchange with the go-between. What's her name?
She's from the UAE.
And she relays the message, right?
All communications from MBS to Epstein and back and vice versa went through her.
And Epstein was essentially assisting Crown Prince Salman.
He wanted to gain some influence on what was going on in Saudi Arabia. Yes. And so he was giving MBS, and he did it on multiple occasions, but he was giving MBS advice on how to navigate through some of the people that would rather destroy
Wall
the economy.
Street shareholders, stakeholders, etc.
And even people within their own country. Now, remember the date of that. It was 1 year from the election.
So how to curtail the globalists?
Let me finish the first statement.
Please.
It was 1 year from the election, right? It's been 1 year since we left. What was it the Monday before the election? Comey came out and said, we found nothing in the Clinton emails. Everybody would have had a laugh because it was enough to suppress a vote. Right?
For Hillary. For Hillary. They thought she would never lose.
You're right. They thought she would never lose. So anyway, here we are a year later. November 7th will be 1 year since, right? And this is literally 2 weeks before Q starts posting and that great purge in Saudi Arabia on November 1st. This is right before that.
That purge where Kushner offered intelligence or alleged intelligence that his family were trying to conduct a coup against him, right?
Right. Well, they took down the Wahhabis, right? All the Wahhabis within the government.
And he imprisoned them.
So what I'm looking at here is, well, you can choose to look at this any way you want. And yes, while Epstein was trying to curry favor, he was given solid advice.
He was giving Not given. Okay.
To MBS. Mainly he said you're treating Aramco like Aramco. I can't. The Saudi oil company. He said you're treating it like a big company. It's not. You're a sovereign. You need to do this, and this.
Yep.
And at the time they were thinking of going public, which the City of London was very upset about. They tried to stop it. And in the end, they went public only in Saudi Arabia. They didn't go worldwide.
Which I find very interesting because...
Aramco. It's ARAMCO.
Oh, Aramco. Yeah.
Aramco.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I find interesting because what was Prince Andrew and Lord Peter Mandelson arrested for? Were they arrested for sexual perversions having to do with Epstein? No, they weren't, were they?
They were giving up the ghost on some of this stuff to include a buyout, a bailout, a couple of really key pieces of information, which as you go through what I go through today, you'll start to see why they're both a threat to the City of London.
Whoa. Wow. Almost like same discussion that Epstein was having with the Crown Prince.
Right.
Have we found any direct emails between Epstein and Lord Mandelson or
Yeah,
Prince
there's
Andrew?
quite a few. There's
This conversation?
Not like the one to MBS, but there's quite a few. In fact, that email that was shared with you, you could see where he forwarded it on to several people.
And another thing I find interesting, did you know, so Mojtaba Khamenei, who's probably not long for this earth.
Right. He just got his death sentence.
He's pretty much good. I guess the word is he just had a leg amputated. I don't know if that's even credible or not, but even Federer.
I don't know about that, but he did just move $1.2 billion out of Iran.
Yep. Not only that, but
Percent talked about that, by the way.
Iran's new, very endangered Ayatollah owns London apartments, Feisty, worth upwards north of 40 million plus. Apartments,
Iran,
plural?
Let me point out something. Iran owns about 42,000 pieces of property in the UK.
And I've had this sneaking suspicion that the City of London and the IRGC have this relationship.
Well, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Very.
They literally are helping each other.
And
so can I get in?
You can do whatever you want. This is your show. And
he says that now, guys.
Oh, stop it. And then another thing that few people are discussing is that insurance thing. What about the Strait of Hormuz?
I will be discussing it. I don't think I shared properly. Let me stop the share. Let me share again. There you go. I got it now. Sorry about that.
How dare you?
I know, right? So I want to talk about the
So this is what Kirill Dmitriev put out. Yep.
He didn't just put it out once; he put it out twice.
Yeah,
which, in other words, last night and today he put out the big wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wave started. He's signifying that there's two. It's a double black swan, which it is, literally, for the City of London.
So what's a double black swan?
Well, it's a double whammy, right?
Oh boy,
it's like a knockout punch. Oh, the great 1-2. Yeah, their City of London is scrambling. Majorly scrambling. And you can tag it to what's going on in Iran, but that only exacerbated something else that's been going on. So it's a twofold problem.
Okay.
Okay. See, now you notice he's sitting back. Okay, you got me. I'm listening. Something else happened, though.
Yep.
And I wanted to show you this because this is a bigger deal. When you look at what was going on there's a company called MFS Global, MFS Global it's called Market Financial Solutions. It went belly up last week. On the same day as Kirill put this out, double black swan. So Iran is one, which exposes the shadow government. MFS, a British shadow banking enterprise, went belly up.
He posted that about the MFS crisis. Is that what he said?
He did? No, I did.
Oh, okay. You just placed. Okay.
I just put this over there because why? Do you see what's in red? Can you read what's in red?
Could trigger a 2008 style contagion.
Okay. I have been saying for years that if we're going to get the monetary system back under control, you got to get rid of the manipulation within it, right?
Yeah, the shadow
The
banking.
center of manipulation is City of London, which I'll show you. And the answer to that would be the Clarity Act. And wait till you see how I put this timeline together. But what they're trying to do is they're going to pair up with the traditional system, the blockchain verification validation process. It's done on nodes. It's done at the speed of light for under a penny. So it's cheaper, faster, much more efficient. And it literally is designed to keep illicit money out of the banking system. Okay, so there's an investigation going on right now in the City of London. This is part of the article, but into how MFS collapsed, what escalated that into where it is now, and to the point where there is now a multi-agency fraud probe. They're talking about fraud on a grand scale. There's $930 million worth of collateral that they were in a shortfall. They couldn't account for it. $930 million. So we're talking $1 billion worth of collateral just poof, disappeared. So they're scrambling to find out how that exposure, because it's a $2 billion firm, what is leading to the exposure, what happened here with MFS Global. Like I said, this MFS Global went into what they call administration on the 4th of March. You can't dismiss that, right?
No, you can't.
One of the things they did is they double pledged assets. You've heard of fractional reserve banking, where we lend out the same dollar 9 or 10 times, right?
Yep.
Well, they double pledged assets, hoping that the shadow banking system could constantly bolster them. Well, it failed. So when you go inside what happened there... I mean,
it's a risk right out the gate just doing that, but...
Well, the shadow banking, by definition, it completely failed. It's belly up.
Wow.
So MFS Global was one of the faster growing entities.
Yep.
And so its collapse is a shockwave, if you will. And then you add the exacerbation with what's going on in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
City of London can't figure out which end is up. They're trying everything. So we talked about shadow banking before, and just go ooh-ah over my graphics, okay? I worked hard on these.
Okay. Looks
okay.
Pretty.
AI and I worked real hard on this. It took me a while to get AI to do what I wanted it to do, but this is essentially the shadow banking system. You've heard of the euro dollar, right?
Yep.
What that literally means are offshored American dollars. And what a lot of people don't realize is that when we print money, most of that money goes overseas, goes into the hub.
Clearinghouse?
The hub is City of London. I'm sorry?
Clearinghouse?
Clearinghouse.
Yep.
But the euro dollar is centered in the City of London. I mean, that whole system of converting international assets into dollars, because the dollar is the world's reserve currency. So you can't trade without U.S. dollars. So they drop their stuff in, and out comes a U.S. dollar, right?
Which should suggest that our taxes don't function the way that we were told that it functions. Either.
No, you're literally, well, let's just say that right now they're looking for $30 to $40 trillion. What is our debt at?
$30 to $40 trillion.
Yeah, and what did Trump say about our debt? I don't think it's what we think it is.
Whoa.
It's fraud. This is all the fraud. So with London as the center for the offshore dollar lending, because that's what's happening, then you have a point here, right? You have a friction point. And those banking centers offshore that are distributing the dollar in the form of liquidity worldwide are the producers and the manufacturers worldwide, as you can see. So you've got all of the producers, you got all the manufacturers, you see that. So even though the U.S. bank system is the final clearing point, the system is already manipulated before it gets to the U.S. banking system. Can you see that, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that the City of London relied on is what we call LIBOR, which I'll get into here in a minute. It's actually the benchmark rate for interest. We got rid of that in 2023. Right after a certain bill passed through our Democrat Congress. And we're now at SOFR, which I'll show you that in a second. But it changes where LIBOR pretty much allowed the City of London, they could pretty much make their own determination what the interest rates were. When we moved to SOFR, we quietly moved that control back to the U.S. Treasury and out of the hands of City of London.
Wow.
Yeah, so that rigging that was done in LIBOR is what the genesis of that push, but I think that was planned. So LIBOR was used to price over $300 trillion in financial contracts. Remember where the Promethean ladies are talking about City of London controls the contracts?
Yep.
So they were pricing over $300 trillion worth of contracts, and that included everything you could think of, your mortgages, student loans, everything was in there. They control the pricing of those contracts. And so when we moved off and into SOFR, that control shifted away from City of London. So that's actually the beginning of the fall of City of London.
That was 23, you think?
That was in 2023. We started to shift off in 2021. The final shift away from LIBOR and into SOFR happened
during the previous administration, Feisty? Wow. Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
How many times have I said, be careful who you call black hat?
Yep.
In fact, it's wise don't use the term.
Yep. It's very binary.
What this graphic is illustrating is that euro dollars are U.S. dollar deposits outside of the U.S. and that the City of London lends and borrows them. They control all of that. And there's no direct Federal Reserve control on any of it. By moving it into the hub, they bypass the U.S. regulatory process and they can do whatever the hell they want. Mainly because City of London is a very favorable environment. They're very lax on the laws and the rules. Won't even implement them. So you see how this is working together.
Yep.
So I put up here the actual plumbing, if you will, for the shadow banking system. I guess you can see that. It's pretty obvious, right? And isn't that a pretty graphic? Just go, ooh, oh. So they're the hub. If City of London is the largest hub for foreign exchange trading, then they're also the largest hub for illicit activity, right? Makes sense? So let me keep going. Let's show the difference between SOFR and LIBOR. If you look at LIBOR, it literally based it on banking estimates. In other words, City of London says, I think the interest rate is going to be, whereas SOFR looks at the transactional activity and says, this is what it should be. So we've already changed, majorly changed how money is managed. Right? Banks charge interest rates when you borrow money.
So you can't have one without the other? Is that what you're saying?
No, we got rid of LIBOR.
Yep.
And we moved to SOFR.
Who's we?
The world did.
The globalists did?
It was the whole world, the banking system. That's you can go globalist all you want, but the entire world is moved over to SOFR.
Which I'm just curious if that's like a attempt to thwart the globalist agenda, or if this is...
Well, it does. It completely undermines. It's a rug pull.
Okay.
They no longer can manipulate the U.S. dollar.
So they're being backed into a corner of the globalists.
They got backed into a corner, and this leads itself to today.
Okay.
Okay. And by the way, the final push for this came in 2022 with the Democrat Congress with the consolidated omnibus. Sean's going to have a really rough day today, guys. Show him extra love.
Yeah. Thank you, Kalisme. I probably KL is me. Thank you for the $20 Rumble rant. Much love back at you. Thank you so much. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right.
So are you breathing?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
It's hard to reconcile, but
So by June of 23, almost all dollar lending tied to LIBOR moved over to SOFR. So the conversion was complete. It started in 2021 and ended in June of 2023.
okay.
Okay. So that's a big deal because that leads us to this next part. And again, I love my graphics here. This is showing how the euro dollar worked before. This is showing how it works now. And it literally puts control back at the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. You see that, right?
So takes it from the Treasury back to the Federal. You mean it's not the other way around?
Okay, so remember, we mint dollars.
Yeah.
Most of those dollars are not kept here in this country.
Yeah.
They go overseas.
Always thought that, by the way. I
Right,
just didn't
into the
know
euro
who did
dollar
it.
program.
Yeah.
That's why we need a clearinghouse, right? In the euro dollar program, London was the central hub.
Sounds like laundering.
Well, it gets there. It wasn't supposed to be, but it is.
Right.
And I'll explain the whole London connection here in a minute. But in the central hub, London was taken off the top. So global trade actually became a revenue model for them to keep the British economy floating.
Right. Yeah, because I've always wondered, like, what is it that keeps England afloat? Like, what keeps them? What keeps them sustainable? They don't have any particular market,
And hence the symbiotic relationship between City of London and Parliament and the House of Lords. And they all know how it works.
They do.
Yeah,
The
we
world
did.
doesn't.
So it's one of the most important structural changes ever to happen because it literally moved global finance back on shore. Right. So since 2008, which was obviously a global crisis that had these governments around the world not bailed out their own banks, our banks would have gone all belly up and it would have put all finance in the City of London.
That would have showed their ass, though.
Yeah, but that's where it was heading. So now you got SOFR, which is very quietly, this is why Scott Bessent is so important to the story today. He wields a lot of power and control. And you need principled people to do that.
Yep.
Okay? So here's where we are. Now we're into the SOFR system, which literally gives us the power to do what we're doing next. You now see that, right?
Yep.
But what ends up happening is you end up with a Panic of 1873 redux, and that's what we're watching right now. So remember when Trump was talking about the Panic of 1873?
He's mentioned that period of time on countless occasions.
Right.
From I think he says from 1870 to the 1880s or something like that.
Well, because it lasted like 9 years.
Yep.
The whole thing. So what happened was a company called J. Cook and Company went belly up. Why? They overextended their bonds. So it triggered a huge Wall Street panic because bonds were collapsing. These were over in East Europe. They were trying to build the railroads. The bonds went belly up, and it then triggered one of the longest depression. I think it is still the longest depression we've ever had
Really?
in the United States. Yes, lasting from September. Yes, from 1873 to 1878-79.
Okay.
It was a huge economic downturn. In fact, I think its title is the Long Depression, whereas 1929 is the Great Depression. The 1873 one is the Long Depression.
Oh, okay.
So currency in the in the 19th century was based on product, right? Specie, and so the banks issued paper backed by the supply of gold and silver, and so it was asset backed. That system began to break down in the face of financing the Civil War, and this is what brought in the greenbacks. So when these bonds started to collapse, companies started looking for greenbacks. They didn't want them originally, but now they're looking for these greenbacks. And that became the scramble, the rush for the gold and the greenbacks.
What's a greenback?
Whereas greenback was Lincoln's dollar.
Okay.
They were called greenbacks.
Okay.
So now we're looking for euro dollars, but banks aren't lending to each other
Why are we looking for euro?
because you got the markets are drying up. MFS going down, you now have these markets drying up, and the banks are hoarding them.
Okay.
They're hoarding the dollars because they don't know what's going to happen next.
Okay.
So nobody's lending.
And the
You
money
can
at
see
that, the money at that time had more value. It was backed by hard assets, as you said, right?
Well, right now it's a euro. Our euro dollars or U.S. dollars backed by U.S. Treasuries. But the market for the U.S. dollar is drying up because banks are hoarding U.S. dollars. They're not lending them. So now they're scrambling, trying to get U.S. dollars to move their product.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
Yep.
So they raised dollars through bonds then. Now we're raising dollars through federal printing with U.S. Treasuries that's backed by Treasuries. And it's important that you understand that because this gets into our current situation with Tether and stable coins. Okay? So this is what that map looks like as of this moment. Looks like fire. So we moved from, if you look at it, you'll see the catalyst was the global shift from LIBOR to SOFR. Okay. Then you go to 2, it cracked the shadow banking system when that happened because City of London no longer controlled those US dollars or the lending rate.
I can't help but, well, you know what popped in my head, Rich, just now? That
What?
was the Economy magazine with the Phoenix rising from the
ashes?
I mean, kind of sounds Hegelian.
This isn't Hegelian.
Okay.
If it were Hegelian, this map would have been out there. I wouldn't have had to use AI to generate one.
Oh, okay. All right.
This is mine.
Okay.
Mine. So anyway, the catalyst was the global shift from LIBOR to SOFR. It created the cracks in the shadow banking system in the City of London because they no longer control the interest rates or that commodity. And then that amplified their financial isolation, if you will, because now they're not this. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Which now we're in a form of economic devastation in Iran. We're squeezing. This is the thing of financial pressure on Iran, maximum pressure campaign. You keep hearing them talk about. So now they're squeezing Iran. So now you got a double whammy. First SOFR, now squeezing Iran. Why? I'll show you in a minute, but it gets into the heart of the shadow banking system. That maximum pressure campaign is where City of London now is, they don't know what to do. Okay? So you got economic devastation, not just for Iran, but now the British economy, potentially globally. And then now we got a broader crisis, which it can become a 2008 redux.
Okay.
You see that?
Yep.
Does this graphic make sense?
Sure does.
Enter our friend. Well, not really. Ambassador Mousavi. Okay,
Yeah,
many people
I've been hearing from him a lot lately.
Yeah, I got his video. He actually threatened the UK yesterday and said, you'd be wise not to strike Iran or join in on this campaign. Your bases are equal prey. So he's literally threatening them. But you got to understand who he is. While he's ambassador to Iran, by the way, hint, hint, we haven't had an ambassador to Iran in the United States since 79. Right?
And so the
UK decided to keep one.
He's the Great Britain ambassador to Iran.
No,
right?
He is the Iranian ambassador to UK.
To UK, okay.
But he also is very entrenched in UK financial movement.
Yeah.
Okay. He serves on the International Maritime Organization, the IMO. Does this sound familiar?
A little bit, yeah.
It's the only UN agency that's headquartered in London.
Okay.
You seeing where this is going?
I all right.
So when he threatened Starmer, and, Starmer doesn't know which end is up right now.
He don't know shit, yeah.
nor does the House of Lords, by the way. They're panicking like there's nobody's business.
Yep.
So what was the next thing they did? They said, well, we're not going to ensure the maritime travel through the strait.
Wow. Which that's
because
formerly the City of London's duty was
Lloyd's of London is City of London.
Yeah.
IMO is a UN agency that he holds sway over.
Okay.
And the IMO dictates to the Lloyd's of London their risk indices.
So that's the globalist overlords over the Lloyd's.
Both UN and...
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So now you've got an economic tool, right? An economic warfare tool. They thought they had this. They thought by creating a choke point that they would disrupt global trade long enough to create an economic downturn. In fact, JP Morgan said, and this is from Zero Hedge from the 2nd of March, to restart traffic, the U.S. Treasury could provide insurance or guarantees to ships transiting the strait, a step it has taken in past crises. It did it. Carter used it as one of them. So this is from a Zero Hedge article from the 2nd.
Okay.
And come to find out, that's exactly what Trump did. He said, effective immediately, I've ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation to provide at very reasonable price and political risk insurance and guarantees for the financial security of all maritime trade shipping lanes. So he's insuring it. And then he says he wants the Navy to ensure passage, right?
Mm.
So this is Admiral Brad Cooper.
Intensified. You may have heard the president say just a little while ago
Can you hear
that
I can hear it, yeah.
destroyed 24 ships. That was true at the moment. We're now up over 30 ships. And in just the last few hours, we hit an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. And as we speak, it's on fire. The president gave us another task: to raise or level Iran's ballistic missile industrial base. So we're not just hitting what they have, we're destroying their ability to rebuild. And so as we transition to the next phase of this operation, we will systemically dismantle Iran's missile production capability for the future, and that's absolutely in progress.
This is CENTCOM, right?
It takes some time, but our forces are well supplied, as the secretary said, and we are absolutely ready to prosecute this mission decisively. Our combined joint forces have relentlessly destroyed Iran's air defenses over the past few days, and they've continued hunting for more.
Okay, what he's basically telling you on the president's order, we started destroying their Navy.
Mm-hmm.
The very next day, notice he said that on the 3rd, the very next day, he goes ahead and shows, we're destroying their Navy. That was one of their premier carriers sitting at the bottom of the sea. Okay, which I think is so cool to watch. So Lloyd's of London just found out, yeah, you hold no sway. So an economic warfare tool just got obliterated. SOFR, using interest rates, is another tool of warfare, economic warfare, that they also lost. And we just keep hitting. No matter what, the United States will ensure free flow of energy to the world. This was on March 8th, yesterday, and I'm not going to go ahead and play it. But as a result of that, today, this just showed, they're moving, oh gosh, I'm going through my slide deck. I apologize. So we've got.
Yeah, the plan is to get oil and natural gas and fertilizer and all the products from the Gulf flowing through the straits before too long.
And as of today, what you're noticing there, you see the dead space going right in here?
Tippy top, yep.
It's because they're turning off their transponders as they're escorted through the strait.
Yeah, because you see them show up in
they
there.
Disappear from this side, go to this side.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So Trump put out on Saturday, he said, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers. He basically told them to shove those aircraft carriers where the sun don't shine.
There, Bubba.
Yeah. He said, yeah, we don't need them.
Yeah.
Now what this is, that's a big deal. Yes, it's a smackdown of Starmer, but it's a smackdown of the City of London because he just told you very publicly, I don't trust your sorry asses. You see that, right?
Yep.
We don't trust you at all.
Yep.
So I don't know if they were going to send those aircraft carriers in and then maybe do a rug pull, right? I don't know. But Trump very wisely said, yeah, fool me once. And he told them to shove them.
I suspect he's always known this.
He was very vocal about it in the presser. He did a gaggle on the plane yesterday. He was very vocal about it. I'm not happy with them, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So what you have, as of today, ships are moving. And as a result of that, this morning, price per barrel was up, kissing $120 a barrel.
Wow.
Right now, they've come down to the high 80s.
Wow,
because traffic is moving. When you get that going, the world can breathe. Right?
Oh, okay.
So trade through the strait is important. It's not just about oil. It's about trade in general, which the Lloyd's of London controlled with risk insurance, which has been taken out of their hands. They controlled when trade can't move, then that's an economic tool.
Yep.
They don't have the control over the euro dollar anymore, the interest rate on the euro dollar, because that quietly came back to the U.S. So it makes now, you've got the ambassador saying, hey, Britain, you better not join them or we're going to shoot down your bases. And they have UK has about 300,000 people in that region.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Plus, there's people inside of Iran. And you got to ask yourself, why would any country put that number of people inside of a country that is our enemy?
Good question.
Unless you have a symbiotic relationship. Right?
Yep.
So here he's saying, I can't remember how long it is. It's
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Iranian ambassador warns UK to be very careful about further involvement in the war. By the way, thank you to Wonder World for the cookie. Hallowed be thy name. Classical Chick, Sean Joe. And thank you to Mitchell DM for a phone call. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
So let me play this.
Jets shoot down Iranians' missiles or drones. Are they legitimate targets?
You know, British government mentioned that they do not involve with this aggression. Okay, that's good. You know, although that we expecting the British government as a one civilized nations to condemn this kind of aggression against anybody, including Iran, but now there is no any involvement from the British government, and so it is very important for us. But if they want to attacking us, there's no doubt that Iran will going to have your own right for self-defense. But I do believe that the British government has very, very good experience from Iraqi invasion, and as well as they know the illegality of this aggression.
And yet the British government is allowing American jets to use British bases for attacks, and British military assets are being used to intercept Iranian attacks. In those circumstances, are British military assets legitimate targets?
We are trying to have a very functional and very delicate and careful activities.
You've been lashing out right across.
What do you think that means?
I don't know. But I know it means something.
It's what they know. He's got City of London over a barrel. You join in what's going on, we're going to blow the whistle on who has helped us get away with this.
Whoa.
You remember the worldwide standoff? Everybody has information on everybody?
No. What?
It's in a Q post.
No, I don't remember that.
It's a worldwide standoff or stalemate. Worldwide stalemate. I have information against you, you have information against me, and whoever blinks gets that information exposed. That's what he's saying right now.
Oh, shit.
He just threatened the City of London.
It's blackmail or extortion or, blackmail.
It's a blackmail.
The Middle East to all sorts of countries, endangering civilians across a whole region.
We are defending ourselves. This is a very important. Who started this war? American side and Israeli regime.
But you say
Of course, we're not going to talk about the fact that they've been at war against the West and U.S. in particular, and Israel,
Iran has.
Since 1947, right?
47?
No, I mean since 1979 for 47 years.
Oh,
so they're bypassing all of that, and this current aggression, we're the victims.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm willing to entertain that. Actually, I actually think that's the case. I think that's always been the case. I think they've been used to achieve what City of London wanted to achieve.
No, it's symbiotic, meaning they both benefit.
Well, cui bono, right? Like,
if they're being used, then it wouldn't be a symbiotic relationship. It'd be parent-child.
Either that or
and it's not a parent-child relationship, or he wouldn't be able to hold sway. He wouldn't be able to threaten them. Right.
Or the City of London forced Iran's hand.
They're both in the same sandbox.
Yeah, but who really has the power? It's the City of London.
Neither do. If you remove one,
I see.
The other. This is that worldwide stalemate.
So City of London, kind of broader, 40,000 foot view, maybe, is City of London. Because they only have the economic power, economic control, they need their.
Don't forget, what is City of London doing?
They need their. What?
They're taking a cut off of all global trade.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trillions and trillions of dollars.
Yep.
The shadow banking system was designed in the 50s. It's been here for a long time.
That's how they manipulated countries.
They take a cut right off the top.
Right.
When Brexit happened, then they got even less, let's just say, oversight wasn't important, even less so, because the Brexit issue caused even more of a financial hole for the City of London. And we start seeing all of these less than appropriate entities using the City of London shadow banking system, Iran being one of the top ones, and I'll show you that in a minute. But here's where he's saying, look, I know who. And he's hoping to use the City of London's people, their own people, to keep the British from doing anything. And to some extent, it actually had started to work. The financial authority, I can't think of the whole acronym, put in new regulations for oversight. And out of the clear blue decided, we're going to wait until November before we implement them. So, I mean, there's not there. It's half-hearted.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that they've always tried to play by each other's game here because each are making money.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where he literally is threatening City of London to take it a step further, which brings us to the Black Swan. Now you got a double Black Swan. You see it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
it's
that
all,
double black.
it looks like it's all a setup.
I think at some point you use current issues to your advantage, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Who's this?
So
Babak?
His name is Babak Zanjani. He is the shadow banker of shadow bankers. This is where crypto comes in.
Okay.
He was using the City of London shadow banking system, moving hundreds of millions of dollars to Iran to fund the IRGC.
There it is. All right, prove it.
It's already been proven. Everybody knows. This is
prove it to us.
Widely known. So he was convicted in Iran for stealing Iranian oil.
Wait, what? Really?
He was convicted. He was sentenced to death. But then Iran went, wait a minute.
Sentenced to death?
Wait. Iran's going, what are we doing? We could use this. So they commuted his sentence to 20 years and then eventually last year released him from prison and he quickly rebuilt his empire.
Oh my
Of course, there was a reason for that. Trump is back in power.
What?
Yeah, so he stole $2.7 billion in oil revenues from the state of Iran. They were going to put him to death. That was in 2016.
Imagine that. Going from being put to death, possibly.
But wait a minute, Iran, they don't waste time when they're going to kill a civilian for daring to protest. But from 2016 to 2024, they let this guy languish on death row.
What a hell of an existence. So he was arrested in 2013, sentenced to death in 2016 for embezzling $2.7 billion.
Sentence was commuted to 20 years in 2024, so he wasn't put to death. So he was able to curry favor.
Yeah.
And they said, all these sanctions, your system might work. So then they finally, last year, let him out of prison, and he rebuilt his empire within Iran. He lives in Tehran. And what is he doing? Using the shadow banking system out of the City of London.
So what does Trump have to do with any of this?
You're jumping.
Okay.
You're jumping ahead.
All right.
I mean, let's revel at the idea that we've got this guy who's using a system that the City of London built to take out the West.
Let's be honest. It was the City of London. It couldn't have been Iran. It had to have been the City of London that maybe.
Well, remember, what is the City of London doing? They're controlling all trade. They have the Eurodollar system, the shadow banking system, all of this stuff. Everything goes through the City of London.
So if they control trade, they control finance, they control other aspects too. I mean,
well, those are the two biggies.
But
they
see what I'm saying, though? If they can control all that, who's to say they can't bark out orders to Iran's leadership and say, hey, yeah, this guy right here, Babak?
Because if they...
Let's commute his sentence.
They might have. We don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
It is odd to me that he sat on death row from 2016, 8 years, 2016 to 2024. Isn't that odd to you?
Yes, it is.
In Iran?
And then not just commuted. No, he was freed.
Then he was released last year. It was commuted in 2020. And then he was released in 25.
His empire all the way back up. Like nothing ever happened.
In breakneck speed. Somebody wanted it. So what is the key thing about the City of London connection? They make money off of both sides, right?
Yes.
Money is a lucrative business when you're funding both sides.
Yeah. Like they are the launderers. That's
right.
like the OG of laundering right there. God
So-
bless you. Thank you, S. Jones.
That shadow banking network operated directly within the City of London through front companies because, they have very lax rules. So he also ran 2 British registered cryptocurrency exchanges, Zion and ZSEX Exchange. And they were fronts. And he was using, you ready for this? You've heard this term, Tether. His choice of laundering was through the stablecoin market, in particular Tether. So you remember how we used to watch Bitcoin jump?
Yep.
And then fall.
Yep.
Jump, then fall.
Yeah, it's gone
And
from
every
like
single time-
113,000 down to
And
where
every
it's at
single time out of
67.
thin air, Tether minted Bitcoin, remember? You starting to see it? So these exchanges processed nearly $1 billion in transactions linked to the IRGC between 2023 and 26 rather. Wait, 2023. He was still in prison. Are ya getting it? From prison. He was running his operation.
No way, no. A prison? Come on. Somebody was doing it in his name or something.
Well, he's not dead, which means he probably had a very nice apartment in that prison. But it
Smells
also
like fraud.
reeks.
Smells like fraud was going on.
It also reeks of a wink and a nod by the City of London while he did it.
Yes. That's essentially what I'm getting at.
Because he's still in Iran, using front companies that everybody knows were fraudulent. So
he's
in
getting
February,
protection, then he's getting protection.
he got protection. So in February 2nd, the US and UK issued new sanctions against him, and they linked those 2 cryptocurrency exchanges, saying that he continues to facilitate money laundering for the Iranian regime. Now, how is it took till 2026 to link those exchanges when they knew about them back in 2020?
Good question.
Okay.
And Karen
His
Lake
influence-
has a great question. Seems like that would give Tether a false value.
We've been saying that for years.
Yikes.
Tether claims to be a 1-to-1 peg, and yet for years it was just shy of a 1-to-1.
That's not good.
So his influence alone threatens the integrity of the City of London's status as a global financial hub. This is that double black swan.
Really? All right. This is a gotcha bitch right here.
Hence, Mousavi's, he said, if you attack, we're going to go after your legitimate bases over there. We're going to go after your civilians. But the threat was, do anything and we're going to expose everything.
This is kind of like a double agent type deal here, who was being leveraged.
This is why it's so
He's being
important.
leveraged. Him
So,
and his operation is being leveraged.
Right.
Okay.
So what is interesting is ZSEX, the one crypto exchange, he actually used a fake board. These are stock photos to hide himself, and it was found out.
Yeah, that's just not real.
Yeah, these were stock photos. But then he put out these documents, right? These documents were, quote, leaked on his social media. And these right here, this bottom piece, those are crypto wallets.
Wow.
So they were able to get into the back of it. I got the whole article on it. I have to show you.
So for anybody out there, I'm worried that there might be a few out there that might be fluoride staring how they're going about laundering money through crypto wallets and stuff like that. Is there a way to simplify that for somebody to digest?
So when you have, first of all, crypto's been used for money laundering for a very long time because it's outside of any state's regulatory and oversight process. So what they do is they'll use the infrastructure of the crypto to facilitate laundering money. It happened after the Vatican Bank started to be audited. They were using Bitcoin through Deltec Bank down in the Caribbean. Remember that?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Here's the investigative report I just linked. I just put it in here. That's the investigative report on this. But so they were using Bitcoin. They were using Tether, the one-to-one stable, and they literally moved U.S. dollars to the IRGC.
Man, is anything untouched without fraud? Is anything?
Right.
Gosh.
So that when you got, and this isn't just the only place. I mean, this is how cartels, how terrorist organizations, rogue states like Iran, this is how they were funding their operations. Whoever's on sanctions, to get around those sanctions, they'd use this system through the City of London. So you got a question because Russia, Trump just said yesterday he's thinking about relieving Russia of the sanctions. Remember, put sanctions on Russian oil. I think we'll go ahead and we'll reduce those sanctions.
And the threat of that sure sounds like it would incentivize the deep state shadow government to, I don't know, maybe leak something like, oh, I hear Russians giving intelligence to Iran, everybody.
Yeah, which is not true.
Trump laugh at that?
Yeah, he literally laughed.
Oh my gosh. And same with Hegseth too. The smile on Hegseth's face when he was talking about it on 60 Minutes was incredible.
It was funny.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep going because we're now in a paradox, right? In that paradox, in that paradox, you've got to try to unwind what's going on, right? You've got this laundering of billions of dollars through the city's own infrastructure, the infrastructure they carefully built, right? Mm-hmm. And this whole Zanjani network threatens the City of London's security because City of London is funding the very organization that they're supposed to be imposing sanctions against.
Mm-hmm. So for anyone who doesn't know, a paradox is essentially a comment or something that it may be true, but it still contradicts itself.
It contradicts itself. Well, the contradictory part is you got the UK at war with Iran and the City of London is not, and it puts the City of London in the crosshairs of its own government. Right? Yeah. So we're not just talking about the loss of Iranian money, but you're talking about an uncontrolled systemic shock that occurs if that shadow banking system is dismantled overnight, which is what's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So much for the City of London that, they were thriving on this whole idea of being the world's shadow bank. They were thriving on this whole idea of being able to move money and control markets. And overnight, this whole thing is coming up. It's being upended. And so they don't know what to do. But it's true that they are deeply integrated with legitimate UK registered firms, brokers, and crypto exchanges, the Zanjani network. So you're now looking at a system in the City of London that literally is looking the other way while this is going on. And so where does it
No, nobody. It's the same thing with Tampon, Tim Walz, and the fraud, and Keith Ellison. There's more than just looking the other way.
People are making money off of it.
Yeah,
you always grease palms to make sure you get what you need.
Maybe even more for all we know. Who knows?
So here's where it puts the British government in the crosshairs. To keep that shadow banking system and the players quiet, so that they're not exposed, and the whole Iranian shadow banking system, keeping it from being exposed, or do we upend it and put what they would call it's a financial heart attack to the UK, right? I mean, a deadly heart attack to the UK's economy. So that's where we're at now. That's literally where we're at. And it really is, and I love these little graphics I made too. now you have contagious dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you've got the insurance nuclear option. I should have put an X through it. You've got intelligence going dark, put an X through it because we've shown we've got superior intelligence. The global stablecoin snap, that's the tether component. Right? And the legal dominoes.
Yep. I found this question in the build chat interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Crypto Knight says some individuals may even attempt to evade extradition by seeking refuge in the City of London, as the UK has a specific legal process for extradition that can be complex. That sounds interesting. Sounds familiar too. I think Israel has something just like that.
Similar.
And again, I'm reminded of what the hell is his name? Homeboy there, the new Ayatollah,
his son,
Khomeini's son. Who has many apartments in Billionaires Row in London. I don't know if that's physically within the 1 square mile City of London jurisdiction, but I do find that interesting.
Billionaires Row is usually off of by Knightsbridge, that area.
Yeah, and again, we're talking 1 square mile. It's not very big, not big at all. There's only 8,000 plus people that live in the City of London.
So what we're looking at here is that a crisis point has been generated, and you're watching as Trump systematically dismantles. There's one big piece left, right? Mm-hmm. This piece right here. You know what the solution is, right? Clarity Act. Oh, wait, Trump just talked about that today.
I was just going to say, he just mentioned that.
He just talked about it today.
Was it a post? Oh, my gosh, no, it was...
It was a post, and he said it in a
presser, right?
And was it a presser? I don't remember now.
Oh, my gosh.
But it was definitely a post. I've got the post.
Yeah, I just saw it. You can almost tie all this in with current events. Mm-hmm. You know, this latest bombing that just happened in New York City, where mainstream media is not touching it. I mean, leftist mainstream media, they're barely touching this. And when they do, they're trying to connect it to the magic carpet ride Mamdani himself, as if that had anything to do with it. And then the guys.
So here's where again that paradox. The UK is literally fighting a war that was funded by its own financial district. And the Iranian regime is using that financial district to kind of exploit their very weak legal protection and be state protected.
What do you think would lend to the self-destruction of England surrounding City of London?
Well, there's a big meeting happening on Wednesday.
Oh, that's right, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
This makes me wonder if
we'll see, because what you've got, one of the things you have to look out for is some of the fallout and their financial pragmatism. They call it pragmatist stance, but it really is, when you start looking into it, we don't want to rock the boat. We like what we're getting out of this. It was that relationship that City of London made a good money, and at the same time was holding the British government's budget hostage, because if you blow this up, this is how you're staying afloat. This goes back to 2007 and 2008. These are 2 WikiLeaks cables about this. I couldn't fit the whole thing in. These are long cables. They're summaries. Okay. So those cables, the U.S. Treasury has been trying to pressure the UK to do something about this since then. And they were resistant. So the Khashoggi trap... the UK is now trapped again, right? If it moves to destroy the Iranian network, it also risks that black swan event. So, and a systemic market crash or even a stable coin depegging would be catastrophic.
Which I find interesting because, Trump just had a conversation with Pooty Poots about 2 hours ago, 2 or 3 hours ago, potentially discussing a conflict, a resolution to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Isn't that interesting? Because maybe the city of London was somehow handcuffing that war or somehow, maybe. I don't know.
Well, we know that the Ukrainian conflict was a major money laundering effort.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're shutting down those avenues, then there's only a solution left, is to end it.
Right. So wait a minute. So if the city of London, knowing how they have historically, as you've laid out, essentially laundered our money, right, through like clearinghouse and all that. Why did they need Ukraine then?
Because they needed governments.
Something else was cut off.
No, they needed it. Without a war, you don't get congresses or parliaments to fund the war, and you have nothing to launder. How much money did our Congress push through?
Hundreds of billions. Hundreds of billions.
And where did it go? Zelensky himself told you.
Yeah.
Better than 70% of it never made it to him.
Made it. That's why I think
it was skimmed right off the top.
So
now you got a $90 billion loan guarantee. Where's that coming from? Who's lending that money?
Wait, $90 billion loan guarantee to who?
The EU has offered a $90 billion loan guarantee to Ukraine to keep the war going.
Oh, boy.
Who's lending that money?
Yeah. Wow.
They can't go through World Bank because World Bank doesn't allow borrowed money to be used for any war efforts. It can only be used for humanitarian. So now they got this loan guarantee. Who's lending it? You know where it's coming from, right? You now get it, don't you? Who's lending it? City of London is lending it.
City of London is lending it, yes. Through the money that they got from previous, the money that was lent out.
As long as a euro dollar is passing through the City of London, they got $10 to lend out.
Okay.
So I looked into who would be some of the roadblocks. The Lord Mayor of the City of London itself, he really doesn't want a crackdown on the shadow banking system.
Of course he doesn't.
So he's another. He thinks that attracting liquidity is a good thing for the economy. Of course, he fails to define good and bad liquidity, right? And when you're attracting the liquidity from a state sponsor of terrorism, well, we can look the other way on that. So you got the Lord Mayor of London. You also have the soft power of the FCDO. They just implemented new rules for managing this and to kind of crack down on it. Then they decided, we're going to wait until November to actually implement them. So they're not interested in doing anything. So it's leaving them in a kind of a bad spot because they call it the golden loop of professional services. And right now, because of the outrage over Iran, and of course you got Mousavi who's threatening British civilians, they call it the golden loop, but now they're questioning Starmer, they're questioning Foreign Secretary David Lammy, and they're also questioning the FCA directly. How did Zandani do this for so long? And that meeting, there's a big meeting tomorrow. They expect it to be pretty contentious.
You're not talking about, so there's one on Wednesday and tomorrow?
Well, it's a 2-day meeting. There's one tomorrow. The big one is Wednesday.
Wednesday, right.
They're both public, though.
And what are those meetings going to discuss?
How all this shit happened.
Yeah, but do you really think all of it's going to be laid out publicly?
No, it never is.
No.
There's also a closed door. It's very similar to what we do.
I also saw Kirill posted something about Ursula and Kaja. As oil is over $110 a barrel, where are smiling strategists Ursula and Kaja going?
This is called gotcha. Do you see it? So I wanted to look at what are we doing? What are the next steps? And Scott Bessent really has been the voice of reason in trying to understand what's really going on. I love that man, by the way. He said that the threat still persists because the reforms are not coming out of the UK. Basically, we're saying, screw you, we're going to move forward. And he's been using FinCEN because now that we have SOFR in place, we now have insight in the red flags. We can spot the red flags for where the funny money is moving. And he keeps telling you the last several days, we've been following the money. So he's now using the fact that we now have gained control over how the money flows to unravel what's going on in Iran.
So they're monitoring all the money that's flowing. You are answering all the questions that I had before regarding the ties between the City of London and the IRGC. How are these SOBs being funded? Where's the Muslim Brotherhood aspect come into this? Or is the ties between the Muslim Brotherhood and the IRGC, or is it one and the same?
So there is a gap right now because as long as the UK isn't working to put in these reforms, the IRGC is still moving money. The good news is we're watching it. We can watch it.
So you should be able to tell when this is going to start to really unravel.
What does a 3-part black swan look like, though? Because we are now a threat to the City of London because of it. Don't you see it?
Yep. Yes, I do.
We can expose it.
Oh.
So I want to show this video. This is
My message today is to the Iranian leadership on behalf of...
I got to remember to click on the right slide.
So this is more than just a banker's war. How long is this?
It is a banker's war. It's a global finance war.
It's a global finance war.
It's an economic war.
Right.
You got a kinetic war going on over in the Middle East right now, but you've also got an economic war being waged at the same time. And just so everybody is clear, neither of these wars just started the end of February. Both of these wars have been going on for decades. We're finally stepping in and saying, we got what we need. Thank you very much. Get the hell out of Dodge.
Time to wrap it up.
And so it looks worse, but we've been going through this for decades.
By figuring all this out, we should be able to forecast things, though, too.
Well, that's where the thing it gets interesting. You do realize that as long as Powell kept the interest rates high, the maximum pressure campaign stayed on Iran. Because they had to use the shadow banking system, so it meant it cost them more money to move goods.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, now I get it. Yep. Oh, wow.
Yeah, right?
Oh.
So as long as interest rates were up, Iran's maximum pressure campaign continued.
So wait a minute. So
Powell was doing the right thing.
Whoa. What?
As I keep telling you, also stop. No. Trump uses your ignorance.
He definitely does that, yes. But
a lot.
Yeah, but think about what if Powell did the opposite.
I'll be real honest with you. Until the Iran thing is solved, there's no reason to reduce interest rates to a point where we can move forward.
Okay. But what if Powell did the opposite? What if he did cut interest rates? Who would benefit?
Then he would be weakening the dollar, giving Iran more power. High interest rates weakens Iran. Low interest rates weakens the U.S. dollar.
Wow.
So
Wow,
it's
Feisty.
inverse, right? So as long as the rates were up,
That is fascinating. I never
the
thought
power
about
against
that.
Iran's economy was strong.
I never once thought that is brilliant. That is freaking brilliant.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, that was a master's level economics 101 class.
Yo. There's there's so much nuance. Things are not black and white.
Well, I've tried to explain these things in the past, but if you got to
You got to see the
understand,
bigger picture, though, too.
so you've got to come out of a purely domestic policy thing. We are a global community, part of a global community. What we do here impacts the entire world.
Yes.
Why? Because we are a powerful economy.
No shit.
We are largely a consumer economy,
Yep.
which means the entire world needs us for trade.
Yeah.
And then on the same time, what we say, I mean, hell, with Trump, you don't even speak softly anymore. You speak loudly and carry a big stick. But what he's doing is he's breaking the status quo of the global order. And so you look at who's pissed at him and then recognize many of them are pissed because, well, it was their time to look pissed. Then you find out when you start peeling back that onion, they're actually a part of the changes that are happening.
Which, again, because nobody has a frame of reference, because we've never seen anything like this before. It's hard for people, like even ourselves, who have been programmed to the way things previously operated, to see, okay, because the jacked up interest rates are affecting us in our pocketbook, in our wallets. It makes it hard for us to see past that, anything past that, right?
We're accustomed to, and it's, and I'm not blaming anybody, but every time we get into these discussions, even in my chat room, the first thing people think of is, what about my 401k? What about my stocks? What about, and it's always very focused on their own economy. And I don't find fault with that. I really don't, because your frame of reference is based at your kitchen table, and if there's no bread on it, it impacts heavily. And we are having some issues with that. But at the same time, in a global environment, you've got to navigate carefully. We've had oil prices go up to 120 a barrel. It almost kissed that this morning and then plummeted. Why? Because we started moving those tankers through the strait. Immediately, you saw an immediate response. And I would encourage everybody to remember, in 2020, we also had a test of our resiliency. What was that test? We closed the economy for a whole month.
That's right.
It tanked the stock market. When the economy reopened, we not only regained that, but we gained another 15%.
Yeah, America.
So, for as ugly and as painful it is for this short window, we not only will rebound, we're going to rebound and then some.
Yes.
It'll be like a rubber band.
And the timing will be perfect, too.
Well, the timing's perfect because we're reducing the regulatory process. We're reducing the fraud. We're reducing
all before the midterms.
Remember when Trump said in 2020, the middlemen don't like me very much?
Yes.
Yeah, we're watching that happen.
Conversation.
So you're watching all of these fixes be put in place that when we finally get to a point where we can turn it around, it's not just a ho-hum, let's wait for it to recover.
Yeah.
It'll be a boomerang. And we've got prime examples of the reality of that. Oil went up to 20. It's down to under 90 in the matter of a couple of hours.
Yeah.
That's not something minor, okay?
You know what else? You know what else isn't minor? We just got an EMP from Mitchell DM 27
thank you.
over there in pill.net. God bless you, Mitch. Thank you for the holy EMP, holy ship. And not just that, but Sober Lady just dropped a $50 Rumble rant. God bless you, Sober Lady. Do you want to read her comment?
Thanks for the amazing dig, Feisty. Had major complications after surgery and still in the hospital. Prayers appreciated. Of course, Sober Lady. Of course, prayer is always up.
Let's get some prayer warriors to pray for Sober Lady, prayers for healing, please.
Quick healing. Speedy recovery.
Speedy recovery. Thank you so much, Sober Lady, and prayers up for you, love. Crypto Knight says, don't forget that short money for the hike in oil prices comes at a spring break travel time. That's interesting. Yeah, another excuse to raise the price, maybe?
Well, it's also provides some cover, right? Because it'll come down, but one of the things that I noticed a lot is that our own domestic garbage provides cover for some of these big global issues.
Yep. Sadly. So how long is this clip?
It is. This one is 8 minutes, I think.
Oh,
this
perfect.
is Scott Bessent. So if you don't mind, I'm going to
please
play this.
Give me time to go feed the cats real quick.
Okay.
My message today is to the Iranian leadership on behalf of the people of Iran who cannot speak for themselves. Last March, we predicted that President Trump's maximum pressure campaign against the Iranian regime would accelerate an economic collapse. Since then, our sanctions efforts have
you
been
get that now, right?
slashing oil exports and cutting revenue. The currency and living conditions are in freefall. The early warning signs are already flashing in the Iranian economy. The regime continues to egregiously mismanage its economic resources with additional subsidies and price controls. The central bank is broke and printing money. Hyperinflation is next. Rather than building a prosperous Iran, the regime has chosen to squander what remains of the nation's oil revenues on nuclear weapons development, missiles, and terrorist proxies around the world. Civilians are rightly protesting mismanagement and economic collapse. President Trump stands with the people of Iran and has ordered Treasury to sanction members of the regime. Iran's leaders have brutally responded to peaceful demonstrations with violence, from mass shootings in the street to attacks on wounded victims in hospitals. Today's sanctions target 18 individuals and entities that the regime uses to evade sanctions on Iranian oil and divert proceeds from its energy sales away from the rightful owners, the Iranian people. Tehran's natural resources belong to its people and not its brutal dictators. Treasury will continue to target Iranian networks and corrupt elites that enrich themselves at the expense of average Iranians. This includes the regime's attempts to exploit digital assets to evade sanctions and finance cybercriminal operations. Additionally, President Trump has announced a 25% tariff on countries that continue to do business with Iran. Our message to the Iranian people is clear. Your demands are legitimate. You are protesting for a noble cause, and the United States supports you and your efforts to peacefully oppose the regime's mismanagement and brutality. Our message to the Iranian leaders is also clear. U.S. Treasury knows that, like rats on a sinking ship, you are frantically wiring funds stolen from Iranian families to banks and financial institutions around the world. Rest assured, we will track them and you, but there's still time if you choose to join us. As President Trump has said, stop the violence and stand with the people of Iran.
Okay, that was in January when Bessent put that out, talking about how they're moving money. We're watching the money flow. We're watching them move it into escrow accounts around the world.
Going to see to that. Yeah. And Rob, the other thing as Treasury, who carries out the sanctions, we can see is we are now seeing the rats fleeing the ship, because we can see millions.
This was as of February. He's saying we're watching rats flee the ship.
Our fencing, we have seen the Iranian
FinCEN is the financial crimes unit within Treasury. They're watching the money. Like he said in January, we're following the money, and they know where it's going. So when Khomeini's son moved $1.5 billion out of Iran, they watched it flow, and because they've got insight into the wallets that it's being moved into, they can actually confiscate and seize those wallets.
Iranian leadership wiring money out of the country like crazy. So the rats are leaving the ship, and that is a good sign that they know the end may be near.
That was a big deal as of February 5th. Okay. We didn't strike until the 28th of February, which is also important because now you've got a complete parallel to the black swan that Khashoggi created. In the parallel, we had global CEOs from JP Morgan, BlackRock, all of them actually boycotted the Davos in the Desert Summit because of supposedly Saudi Arabia murdering Khashoggi. And as a result of that, it created a bit of a black swan because actual trade, the liquidity, the trading deals left Davos. And later we find out that the Babak Zanjani's network is doing the same thing. Trump had a black tie on during his speech 9 days ago into Iran, 10 days of darkness possible. Tomorrow it is over. Actually, I think it's over today when the tankers started moving. So we now, with the Zanjani network, we're seeing the same thing. But just as Saudi influence networks were exposed in 2018, we now see the shadow banking networks being exposed in this crisis, and the black swan for both is on the City of London because they are being used by both of the regimes that are threatening it. So we now have created a trap that would actually ultimately dismantle the shadow banking network. And I hope that's making sense because this entire thing is one of the most incredible things I've ever watched, to be very honest. We're watching them take down a system that's been around for over half a century is one of the most incredible things to watch. So, wait, I don't know why that went there. Okay, so the City of London currently faces a dual threat. That environment where they looked the other way because they were benefiting from the flow of trade from these rogue states, these criminal states, and so now that threat is starting to really hit. Not just diplomatically, but within the political infrastructure within the UK, and the people in UK are upset. So the Mousavi's warning yesterday was directly against the UK territory. They're saying, hey, if you do this, we're going to come after you. We are going to literally take you apart. What he's talking about is not just striking these bases, but look who's been looking the other way. They can show you, they will expose the very people that have been allowing them to get away with this for all this time. So the key to this, though, is recognizing that even the City of London holds the UK hostage. Because if you dismantle this shadow banking system overnight, it will have an immediate impact on the British economy, because they're not getting all those little kickbacks. So if they seize the billions that Zanjani has been moving.
Who's Zanjani again?
Zanjani is the billionaire from Iran who was using the shadow network to launder money.
The guy who was given the death sentence and then not. And then how does Khashoggi play a role in this again?
Well, like
You're
I showed,
about Jamal Khashoggi too, right?
Yes.
Who was supposedly hacked up into a million pieces.
Whatever that story is. I don't know what that story is. But what they are basing it on is the fact that Saudi Arabia supposedly killed him.
Right.
Somebody did.
I suspect, and I think
I don't know.
that he's in Wipro.
I have no idea.
You can't confirm it, obviously.
I can't confirm any of that. Right. But what it did expose, and this is why they call it the Khashoggi. I always say his name wrong. Khashoggi. Yeah. It exposed that background network, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that the Saudi government was funding a London-based TV, which was used for propaganda. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking, like $250 million over a period of time. Right. It exposed that, but it showed how the funding from the Middle East was already deeply entrenched in the city of London and therefore into London's overall infrastructure. Yeah. So we're watching that again with the Zanjani network, how it's so integral to the UK budget. You remove, and remember, why did they set up the shadow banking network? When the US dollar started to come up and British colonialism went down, this was their way of ensuring their economy by becoming the global hub. Mm-hmm. And now with the crypto piece and some of the shadow networks after 2008, they kept that system going. And we're slowly taking back our own power.
It's almost like City of London was banking on, no pun intended, banking on that being hidden or not easily understood by the U.S.
Well, that's what the 2008 crises. The 2008 crisis shows that you pretty much can control how the world responds to a contagion like this. We all bailed everybody out,
right?
And we did not discuss how it happened.
Or
that was this whole shadow banking network was not a part of that discussion. Oh my God!
Because it affected smaller banks too. It affected everything.
It affected everything. In fact, actually, regional banks took the greatest hit, obviously.
Which made it a very convenient excuse for the U.S. to pass that bailout.
Well, the bailout, I think, is hindsight is always 20/20. I think it was needed.
Well,
I think it was needed because had our economy collapsed, we would have already been in complete globalist control because we would have relied on the shadow banking network. Yeah, we would have relied on the globalists to even survive.
Yeah.
So I think it was necessary.
Yeah.
As horrible as that sounds.
Yeah.
Do I think it was used all appropriately? No. I mean, there was a lot of fraud.
Very Hegelian.
But I think we did need that bailout.
Yeah.
He kept our economy on a thread.
They created the problem and then to force us into coming in to offer up the solution, right?
Right.
Does that sound fair?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying if you take that to the next step, if the UK government continues to allow U.S. forces to use their bases to neutralize the threat at the source, then UK is also facing the opportunity of losing the lives of some 300,000 British nationals.
Wow.
And it's a huge risk. It puts them in that balancing act, is the greater good more important than our secret
So again,
shadow
the
banking?
whole Diego Garcia thing was another strategic blunder as well.
Well, he came out and said that we could use it for defensive purposes only.
We didn't have a choice.
He didn't have a choice. So what is happening?
Wow.
They're holding a public hearing. It's tomorrow and Wednesday. Wednesday's the big one. These are both the statements. Here's the 10th.
Who's holding? So who is it exactly that's having this?
The U.S. Treasury Committee out of Parliament is holding a public oral evidence session.
Out of Parliament?
Yeah. They're holding this oral evidence session
with Parliament.
Well, it's the Treasury Committee.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're holding this oral session, and it's public, to ask some of these questions. What the hell happened?
Ooh.
Why how did we get here, kind of thing? And they're looking at the MP Chancellor, the people from the City of London. What's interesting is Trump is saying at the same time, well, screw you.
You know what this sounds like? The same thing that's going on with the tariffs. Buying time to allow for investigations to happen with the tariffs.
Notice the date of this. Well, while they're pussyfooting around in London, Trump is saying, well, I'm going to move forward. We're not giving them a chance to breathe.
Oh, wow.
And as a result, on the 4th, the G7 got together for... Yeah. He's saying the Clarity Act done is the next step to finish the job. He's talking
And
about
he said he won't sign another piece of legislation until this
the
is
SAVE
signed.
Act.
Wow.
So we get both at the same time.
This is military, man. This is not just Trump.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be proof or a really strong indicator that this is all
What
military.
you're looking at is Trump is not playing games.
It's not just Trump, though.
He is dismantling that new world order globalist status quo.
Brilliant.
He's not giving them an opportunity to even think through what their next move is because he's right on top of them. I don't know if you heard the other day, but Rubio has talked about it. Hegseth has talked about it. Bessent has talked about it. They've been planning for this for months.
Wow. Wow. This is overwhelming. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
So that brings us to the banking lobbying. This is a video that I pulled off of X.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth listening to because right now in our country, our banks are squealing like stuck pigs. I wanted you to hear this guy.
Well, good evening, everyone.
His name is David. He's Weisberger.
Yeah.
And he's going into his nightly rant about how stupid these banks are. Okay, so this is interesting. It's not that long.
Yeah.
I don't remember how long it is, but listen to what he says about what the banks are doing. Oops.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's Thursday, March 5th. It's around 8 o'clock. Bitcoin is trading just a tick under 71,000. And after yesterday's rally, it's given back a little bit of its gains on the big news story that the banks, surprise, surprise, are once again lining up to block crypto regulations in order to hold on to their oligopoly and government subsidized yields.
Let me...
For the first time from one of its...
Wait a minute. Oh, come on. Let me back something up here. Remember when McHenry was made the speaker? Do you know what McHenry was working on?
Who's McHenry?
McHenry, after McCarthy was ousted, McHenry became the interim speaker.
Oh, yes. Very,
okay,
very
before
short.
Johnson came in.
Yeah.
Do you know what he was working on in his own committee? He was working on crypto legislation.
Yes.
In that crypto legislation, he was working on giving the Fed the authority to do a CBDC and giving the Fed the authority to give oversight on digital. This is why Grassley kept saying we will never have a CBDC, and he kept putting through measures to prove that. But by making McHenry the interim speaker, his work on that committee came to a screeching halt. The other thing to remember is one of the first things McCarthy did is he opened up the Congress, the House, he called it the People's House. He opened it up to the people. The first thing that happened, over $4 billion of foreign money came running through to our Congress to do what? Influence our budget process. So now we know who's trying to influence. We know what they're trying to do. And you got McHenry's no longer. They called it the Mick Waters bill. Maxine Waters and McHenry.
Okay.
They called it the Mick Waters bill. And it was literally, and I'll have to show it to you. I didn't think to pull it into here, but literally giving the Fed the right to do a CBDC, which we will never have. And it became a big piece of the propaganda that had everybody worried about digital in our country. A big piece of it. Okay. But we stopped him. Right. So this is David talking about now the banks are freaking out again. Why? Because we're getting closer and closer and closer to the Clarity Act, which they've been funneling all kinds of money to try to block its passage, which is why it's not been going through. So listen again.
5th, it's around 8 o'clock. Bitcoin is trading just a tick under 71,000. And after yesterday's rally, it's given back a little bit of its gains on the big news story that the banks, surprise, surprise, are once again lining up to block crypto regulations in order to hold on to their oligopoly and government subsidized yields, where they don't have to pay interest to depositors and can pocket everything. All I could say is, and it's not really all I can say, the most important thing I would say is it reminds me of analogies that Asimov did in a speech. He talked about the horse and he talked about the barge operators in England when the horse and buggies were trying to come around and saying we can use our new method of conveyance in order to move traffic and move goods. The barge operators said, well, by going 15 miles an hour or more, by Bernoulli's principle, we worry about the safety of the people in the coaches because they'll have the air sucked out of their lungs. And, it's a famous speech. He gave it in the 70s. And essentially the theory of the speech was new technology always creates winners and losers. The losers always try to claim that they're protecting the public good. And in almost every case, they're completely full of shit. And that's what's going on here. So let's just break it down really quickly. The banks get basically over $100 billion a year in extra money on their net interest spread. Now, I did a post yesterday, and I'll do a longer form article in the future, but basically the money center banks are making substantively more money than the community banks. And the reason that matters is that the community banks are the ones they're using to say that you shouldn't be having this whole debate over stable coins and yield. That's what they're saying. And I really find that interesting because the community banks make, believe it or not, on their loan portfolios, they're earning well over 5%, while the big banks are earning well under 4%. And so the community banks have an edge and can afford to pay more interest if, in fact, they needed to from a competitive point of view. So they would be impacted dramatically less, not to mention the fact that community banks have significantly more expertise. They could charge fees in cases where the net interest margin wasn't very irrelevant. But this notion that's in the regulators' heads, remember, most of our not regulators, congressional, members are so damn old that they feel like it's a wonderful life, is they're remembering it as their own history. And they think of the Bailey brothers, building and loan as something that needs to be protected. And so they think, oh my God, we can't allow that to be taken away from us. But the truth is, there's almost no risk of that. At the same time, they're conveniently forgetting the fact that this interest subsidy that's going to the big banks was put in large measure, large pieces of it, the ability to get interest at the Fed, was put in 2008 as a temporary measure to alleviate the financial stress that the banks caused by their own fiscal mismanagement, their own risk management problems, where most of them, including the firm I worked for, Citigroup at the time, was almost certainly fully bankrupt if they were forced to resolve all their accounts. But instead, they were given bailouts and this cash infusion by allowing them to park money and make money on that money that was parked. So that is what's going on here. It is the banks using their political might, which of course is augmented by the literally hundreds of billions of dollars that they've been given in excess interest over the last decade or so. And they're using that to buy off whatever, influence, however you want to call it, the Congress. But the ultimate irony is it's a completely irrelevant fight. Yes, that's what I said, irrelevant. Why? Well, because in the short run, it's relevant. In the short run, if you could just give rewards on stable coins, then people can effectively mimic a banking structure, use payments for stable coins, and let the people in those accounts earn interest, and therefore the money will be sticky. They'll keep it there. No problem. It's very easy. But where the market is actually going, and what is actually better for Bitcoin and the crypto market, is a much more fluid system where new operators such as Kraken, who just got their Federal Reserve skinny license, and there are multiple other firms who have applied for banking licenses in the crypto community, will start offering an integrated platform where they can have the modern equivalent of a checking account, where they can use the stablecoin payment rails to pay bills, and have automated sweeps. So when they run out of money in their payment account, you can take their investments, as long as they're tokenized, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, convert from whatever their investment was in back into the stablecoin for automated payments. Now, if you think about what that does, that broadens the notion of money market funds. It means that you don't need to leave a lot of money in the payment accounts. You use that as a conduit. That is where this is going. And when that happens, the banking industry is going to be revolutionized. What you will see is banks adopting stablecoins as their payment rails and also adopting the ability to offer investment accounts and trading accounts in that way. And that is a very healthy thing for the American consumer, for the world consumer, really. And that will trigger dramatic changes. People will not be able to make money and collect economic rents because the government gives them an oligopoly. They'll have to make money for expertise. Now, the community banks are going to be fine. Why? Because the community banks can offer a good yield to their clients because they can offer it in such a way because they're making money on their expertise and knowing who the most creditworthy borrowers are. But the money center banks will have less of that. There'll still be some. But capital flows have become more mobile, more global, and everything will compensate. The beauty of this system is that with stablecoins, you don't need fractional reserve banking. Stablecoins are fully reserved. So the more money is sitting in the stablecoin system, the less risk of run on the bank, because you can't have a run when your money is already there. The problem is when it's lent out without any covenant against it, and you have 95% of your money unbacked at the bank, then there can run. So understanding that we're going to end up with a situation where capital that is going to be put at risk will be in one set of accounts and that is not will be in a different, i.e. stable account, that is a much healthier system. So
you muted.
What I'm showing you here is the fact that the banks right now are trying to, and it's the big banks, right? That's where the lobbying dollars are coming from. They're trying to delay or block passage of crypto. And for what it's worth, Scott Bessent just said a couple of days ago that he expects a signing of the Clarity Act in early spring. So spring starts March 20th. So March, April timeframe, Clarity Act will be signed. That's a big deal when you look at what's happening with the financial giants. Because of this timeline that they now can't stop, thanks to the shadow banking enterprise collapsing, legislation coming up, you're watching this amazing thing happen right now where we are literally in the open taking back our banking enterprises. I'm going to remind you back in 2017 when Mnuchin was asked in a Senate hearing, he was asked about lending. And he was very adamant when he said, all economies are local. And what did David just tell you? The regional banks are going to fare better. They know who to borrow to. They can issue proper credit. The big banks have a lower yield. They can't. So their whole yield question becomes an issue of just noise. They're nervous.
So,
and as a
can you simplify this in simple terms for somebody who's not so financially savvy to understand this?
I'm not either, by the way. It's a lot of study.
So you can't?
I can try. I am not a financial whiz. I'm going to just point that out. I've done a lot of studying. I've become book learned. And that's why I use people like David to push my point forward.
So summarize in simple terms what.
So in simple terms, what he's saying is the big banks are hurting.
Yep.
The little banks are going to be doing great.
Yep.
When the Clarity Act goes through, we all do better because our banking is, we're to pardon the term, we're reimagining how money operates. Okay.
Yep.
You are your own bank. If you put your money into a stable coin, you can, and that's why all these exchanges are looking for custody.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Because you can now use your crypto, convert it to a stable coin, and use that to pay your bills. You don't even need a bank. And that's the issue that the banks are upset about.
They don't want to go extinct. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that they go extinct, but their power, the power they've wielded all these centuries is greatly reduced.
Yeah.
Especially as people start to understand there's been so much propaganda against this entire idea of blockchain and what it does for the banking system, that it's taken time for people to get up to speed. But as they start to figure it out, it changes everything.
It's much like AI, where it's not inherently evil or inherently nefarious. It's just a matter of who's, the regulatory or the
and
regulations.
think about what it does. Think about what it does. If you've got a shadow banking network that is now saddled up with terrorists, right? And they can't get that money into a valid banking system because they can't get on the blockchain. It then becomes a medium of peace. And where do you go from that? You will see, Trump has already told you about it. The Abraham Accords are a big deal. Who is Abraham? He was the father of all of our religions. And so you're looking at, and there's a Q post, what if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the New World Order? You're watching it in real time. So, which is good to finally see it, because I've been riddled with bullet holes for saying that for years, that you've got these major states. He mentioned Cuba. He's mentioned Iran, that they would come to the table. So what is the real goal here? I don't know that the goal, of course, you want to get rid of rogue players like the IRGC, but the goal isn't about Iran. The goal isn't about Ukraine or Russia. The goal isn't about Somalia or Syria or any of the goal is to end the system that kept those conflicts going, and that's the shadow banking system. So it leaves the city of London out on a plank all by itself.
Isolate
But there are cracks happening.
So City of London is being isolated, and they're leveraging. What's his name? I can't even think of his name anymore. Whatever. They're leveraging situations like that against them.
Yeah. They've literally put the city of London at war with itself.
On top of the whole thing going on in the Strait of Hormuz, which...
Well, we just watched it resolve itself.
And that's been used as leverage. That's been used as City of London.
The City of London used Lloyd's of London, and who's sitting on the board but the ambassador to UK? So he held them hostage. He just lost that
Iranian
power.
ambassador to the UK.
The Iranian ambassador to the City of London sat on the board that
Wow.
determined the risk indices that Lloyd's of London used.
Wow.
So again, when you think of how economies operate and how we couldn't even move product without a middleman, City of London, now you're literally upending that entire system. And it's already causing problems within the global banking system. This is primarily BlackRock we're talking about here, but listen to what they say. This is amazing. This just came out.
For the first time from one of its flagship private credit funds. Withdrawals requests from the firm's $26 billion HPS corporate lending fund total $1.2 billion in the first quarter. That is more than 9% of the fund's net asset value. This is the first time in the fund's 4-year history that withdrawal requests topped 5%. BlackRock said it would pay out $620 million as part of the quarterly redemption, the 5% threshold at which managers can restrict withdrawals. Look, no one's calling a crisis in this area yet. It is just very interesting that an area of the market which was so unbelievably hot the last couple of years, and of which people have come through this desk and said to Karen and I, oh, the private market is great, it's great for retail investors, it's great for professional investors, it's amazing the opportunities will unlock, where I have to say the question being asked by this desk for those last 2 years was this an area that was starved of capital in the first place? And what is in it for the retail investor when there are so many professionals who know their way around private markets way better than they do as well? But interesting, we're seeing redemptions at more than one fund now potentially building up as well. And as I say, there's been a couple of issues in the private credit market. No one's calling a broader crisis, but it is fascinating looking at this juxtaposed to other things that are going on in the market.
It's those issues. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Those are cracks. That's cracks in the universe, right?
One of its flagship private credit
Let me
funds.
move this. So this is a longer video, How the Mighty Fall. And it reminded me, this got dropped into my chat room last night, and I thought, what a great way of talking about everything I said today. I think it's a fairly decent summary.
Okay.
So it's I believe, a 4-minute video.
Perfect. Okay.
Institutions rarely collapse overnight. They fall slowly, almost subtly at first, often while still appearing strong on the outside. In How the Mighty Fall, Jim Collins studied once great companies and discovered that decline isn't random. It follows 5 predictable stages. Understanding these stages can help us recognize when powerful institutions, be they corporations, banks, or entire financial systems, are losing their edge. Stage 1, hubris, born of success. And success breeds arrogance. In this first stage, leaders begin to believe their position is permanent. They confuse momentum with invincibility and lose sight of the fundamental factors that created success. Hubris can take many forms, ignoring customers, neglecting innovation, or assuming that past strategies will work forever. Collins notes that when the rhetoric about how great a firm is replaces a penetrating understanding of why it became great, decline is already underway. Think of a towering sequoia that has grown for centuries. Its size masks a growing hollow at its core. By the time the rot is visible on the trunk, the roots have already been compromised. From hubris arises a craving for more scale, more markets, more glory. Leaders make undisciplined leaps into areas where they cannot maintain excellence or chase growth faster than they can build a strong foundation. An organization expands beyond its ability to fill key positions with the right people, or it abandons at its core competency for short-term wins. The second stage is like a company building skyscrapers on unstable ground, impressive at first, but the foundations crack under the weight. In today's financial world, this might resemble institutions aggressively pursuing exotic derivatives or speculative bets or headlines without understanding the technology or the risks involved. Denial of risk and peril. As warning signs emerge, leaders downplay them. Negative data are explained away, positive data are amplified, and ambiguous data are spun to fit comforting narrative. Instead of confronting reality, those in power blame external factors. Collins describes how vigorous, fact-based dialogue disappears in the stage, replaced by groupthink and defensive posturing. Picture a captain sailing toward a storm while just the crew points at the darkening clouds. It's just a passing squall, he insists, ignoring the barrenest plunge. The denial stage, particularly dangerous because the institution still looks healthy from the outside. Stage 4, grasping for salvation. Eventually, the cumulative risks of stage 3 assert themselves. Decline becomes visible and panic sets in. Leaders lurch for quick fixes, hiring a charismatic savior, betting on untested strategies, or making dramatic acquisitions. These silver bullet solutions can produce a brief bounce, but rarely address the root causes of decline. DeFi challenges the core economics of traditional finance, near instant settlement instead of T+2 delays, transparent ledgers instead of opaque balance sheets, open access instead of gated capital codebase, trust instead of intermediary control. Institutions built on friction naturally resist systems that remove it. But Collins' research is clear. Resistance to superior infrastructure is not strength. It is a stage 3 decline signal. When incumbents attempt to slow innovation through regulatory constraint rather than compete on value, they signal declining long-term relevance. The shift towards DeFi is not ideological, it is infrastructural. Just as the internet outgrew closed telecom systems, open financial rails are outgrowing closed banking models. Capital flows where it's respected towards efficiency, transparency, and programmability. The mighty do not fall because new systems emerge. They fall because they mistake control for permanence. The Clarity Act, in its final version, will shape how this transition unfolds, but history shows that infrastructure, which creates value, outlives institutions that attempt to extract it.
I tell this to people all the time, Paul, if your audience takes away one message from this conversation we're having right now, and one message only, it is crypto is much more than some funky new alternative asset class. Mm-hmm. Crypto is an entirely new architecture of finance. It's a digital network architecture. It's going to change everything we know about banking and finance and money itself. It's as important to finance as the 15th century movement from handwritten printing to movable type printing. It allows everybody to access financial services in the way that movement to printing allowed anybody to access reading and writing and publication. And it's going to have a tremendous impact on society and everything, the way we interact, the way we conduct our financial affairs. Our American banks have to move with this. They can't resist this, and they need clarity. They need this act so that they can devote the kind of money to keep pace. The innovation's not going to stop if clarity doesn't get done. What will stop is traditional finance's ability to invest in it sufficiently to be successful.
Stage 4. Without returning to disciplined fundamentals, the cycle repeats. Capitulation to irrelevance or death. If an institution remains in stage 4, repeated false starts, expensive missteps erode its financial strength and morale. Leaders lose faith in the future and either sell out or let the organization fade. This final stage could mean bankruptcy, a fire sale, or simply becoming irrelevant as competitors outpace.
There is no step 5.
By the time decline is obvious, relevance has often been lost long before. Collins' most profound insight is that visual collapse usually doesn't occur until stage 4. By then, it's often too late to recover. Collins' research focused on corporations, but the same pattern applies to entire industries. Today, our global financial system sits at a crossroads. Now let's talk about the new shiny bill. The Clarity Act asks, how decentralized is the system? That's actually refreshing. It slices digital assets into commodities, investment contracts, and payment stablecoins, assigning regulators accordingly. In theory, decentralization moves tokens from the SEC prison to CFTC freedom. Banks finally get to hold crypto. Startups get provisional registration, and DeFi protocols even get explicit recognition and self-custody rights. Sounds like progress, right? And then you read the footnotes. Yield-bearing stablecoins might be banned as deposits. There's talk of dragging non-custodial software devs into compliance hell. Critics warn that AML provisions ignore the reality of decentralized networks. No wonder industry support evaporated and the Senate punted. When regulators pretended code is controllable, they're showing stage 3 signs of denial.
What does everybody use their bank account for? You don't use it to buy treasuries. You don't use it to buy stocks. You get your paycheck and you pay your bills, right? That's really the only thing I use my bank for. So if I could get paid in PayPal and use PYUSD to pay my Amex bill, or use PYUSD to move money to friends, or use Venmo apps, or any other of these neobanks, I think traditional brick and mortar institutions, when the older generations die off, are going to be completely useless for this generation. And I think that's the big meta that many of these neobanks and fintechs are investing in. And I think it's the big thing why the Genius Bill is stalling, because the banks are extremely scared of this narrative taking flight. And they're doing everything they can do to kill, because at the base of this narrative is stablecoins. And this is the battleground. And this is why these banks are coming up and putting up in all these amendments and really butchering this Genius Act bill, because they know if this world actually happens, it's going to be materially destructive to the banking industry as we know it.
So you got all of that, right?
Yeah.
You got all of that. So what he's saying is we're about to reimagine banking, and that you have the potential in this new system to be your own bank. So this guy, Mickey, talks about PayYUSD. That's the PayPal stablecoin.
Yeah, which
There's a number of stablecoins.
PayPal, Cash App, they're all it's all blockchain, guys. That's how you're able to make a in real time payment to whoever else has Cash App, right? And it takes no time.
It's all being done through
That's
system.
blockchain technology.
But what this is saying is whatever you hold in crypto, whatever it is your store of value, right? And the stable coins are your off-ramp to actual purchasing power. So you will move your crypto holding into a stable coin, and you can use that. I mean, all of them have debit cards now. You use that to point of sale, pay your bills, whatever you're going to do. And this is why the banks are fighting it.
Yeah.
They know that their model is short-lived. I do agree with what Mickey says. Eventually, the physical dollar becomes useless. Is that going to happen right away? No. No, it's not going to happen right away. We need time to get up to speed on this new system. But it does reimagine the flow of money. It does reimagine how we think of money. It reimagines everything with regards to money. It's no longer an institution holding it, making money off of you. You're holding it, making money off of you. So I want to end on a high note. I think you're
institutions
wait a minute.
rarely
I think
collapse.
you're going to enjoy this. Okay, this is from a movie from 1992 called Sneakers.
Where it's mentioned. XRP is mentioned in this movie, if memory serves me correct.
By Arrow Up on X. The Invisible 589.
It's in 1992.
Being in the XRP riddle,
1992.
many of you have probably already come across the 1992 movie Sneakers because of one amazing detail. XRP appears as an access code on the Federal Reserve Transfer Node computers.
Look at that.
1992 movie Sneakers.
Where it says XRP.
Yeah.
You guys remember the 1992 movie Sneakers? There was this scene where they hack into the Federal Reserve Transfer Node, and guys, it showed XRP as the international telelink access.
Sneakers from 1992. XRP is mentioned as a banking code.
The 1992 all-star hit movie Sneakers.
Sneakers, the 1992 movie. XRP appears in this movie Sneakers, where they're cracking into the Federal Reserve Transfer Node, and you clearly see XRP on the computer screen.
So yeah, a movie that predates Ripple and XRP by 20 years shows a Federal Reserve transfer node with XRP on the screen. Of course, that's pretty amazing, but that's where this find usually ends. However, I think there's more going on here. First, listen to the summary of this movie. A group of elite hackers stumbles upon a mysterious black box device known as a decoder, capable of breaking any encryption in the world. As they investigate who created it and who wants it, they realize the technology could quietly reshape global power. In other words, this decoder is the ultimate hack to the system, the 589 in the Matrix. Well, here's where it gets crazy, and it happens right in the beginning of the movie.
You wouldn't believe what I had to go through just to get a safe deposit box.
Did you catch it?
All right. So the smoking box is number 588. One off. The movie that shows XRP on the Fed's computer screen about a black box decoder the NSA is after that breaks all encryption and threatens global power begins with smoke coming from a box one number away from 589. But wait. If box 588 shows up on screen, why does the official sneaker script say it's supposed to be box number 589? From dailyscript.com, page 7 of the sneakers full official script writes, the camera pans across dozens of boxes. There is a loud, ominous ticking. Box 589 begins smoking. You guys, what? This movie has been shown to us hundreds of times for its XRP Easter egg without anyone ever realizing there was supposed to be a front and center 589 in there as well? Another example of 589 and XRP sneakily tied together over the concept of crypto and decoding 20 years before XRP was created? And you're going to tell me that's yet another coincidence? Okay.
How's that on a high note?
See,
So you know what Rule 589 is, right? Rule 589. The Rule 589 is what the COMEX put in place to control the value of silver. So in other words, it was a control mechanism to prevent you from having an asset that appreciated.
Yep.
So when you look at the 589 rule, in the grand scheme of things, you're talking about arming or disarming the powers that be from controlling your assets. Now, what is XRP? We know XRP is being used already. Japan's already announced it. Russia's ready to accept security guarantees.
Come on, really?
They were testing XRP cross-border transfers with the savings bank in Japan since 2018. So we're now looking at the what XRP is being used for is cross-border transfers. It's the central bank transfer medium. Its value is derived from the assets it moves.
Ooh.
So it can't be low. Right?
Yep.
If you're moving $40 trillion a year, it's got to be, otherwise you'll burn through it too quickly. It's got to be, is it going to be worth $1 trillion? No. But it's got to be
It can't be too high, so you can't, and it can't be too low. It's got to be just right.
Right.
Yeah.
And 100 billion of these things were minted. So the way that the system works now is if you've got your own crypto holdings which are appreciating, this is where Bitcoin comes in because it too is a store of value. The issue with Bitcoin is its gas fees and trying to off-ramp it, right? It costs too much. I honestly believe since NSA did develop it, they can fix that problem pretty quickly.
Bitcoin. NSA, NSA and Bitcoin, yes.
Yeah, but XRP is also developed by. You notice all through that one video they show people in military uniforms.
In the movie?
Do you know Admiral Rogers? You know what his claim to fame is? Cryptography.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, just step back for a minute and think. This new system, despite all the kicking and screaming, it's coming into play. And what does that do? It brings down the manipulation in the monetary system. So now we're watching as the weaponization of government is being dismantled. That's all these IGs and grand juries and all of these criminal actions that are taking place. We're watching weaponization of government be dealt with. The other part of it, of course, the Vatican side of the triangle is a two-part piece because it also plays into the global story. But it actually is talking to and related strictly on the fact that our social and moral values. And that goes back to the papal audience hall, which I've shown you. The only thing between us and a 666, which is sin, is our faith.
Is our faith. Wow.
And what did Trump put out today? He put out a post that talks about his Bible. And he put out a post of a prophecy from Clement about how Trump will bring. So here we are.
How Trump will what?
Bring America back to God, which is actually a prophecy from the late 70s. I don't know if you know that.
How Trump will bring America back to God. Yeah.
So, and like I said, it's a prophecy from the late 70s. Isn't that interesting? That Trump would be president and bring America back to God, and that's what we're watching.
Truly biblical.
So, ending on that, Many important meetings and phone calls taking place today, and I'm at Trump National Doral in Miami. Additionally, I will be going to Speaker Mike Johnson's, who's doing a fantastic job, fundraising event at 4, and then prior to leaving for D.C., I will hold a news conference. And unfortunately, we missed that. He was live while we were in the show.
Yep.
I encourage people to go back and listen. I think I've given you kind of an overall picture of what's really going on and showing you where we're going. How did I do?
Great. Unbelievable. Matter of fact, I think Johnny's going to be covering that. What was it? The Trump National. Him speaking at the Doral in Miami. The fundraiser. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I think Johnny's going to be covering it. So we'll send everybody over to Johnny in just a few moments. I got like 2 clips from it where Cuba, he is in the crosshairs right now. Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Trump on Russia. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions, Feisty.
Mm-hmm.
To reduce prices. We have sanctions on some countries, but we're taking those sanctions off until this.
Trump mentioned that in the gaggle when he was coming back from Dover, that he was thinking about removing sanctions from Russia.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
As we're talking about, he had a nice big phone call with Putin today, by the way.
Yes. Talking about the straightening up the everything going on between Ukraine and Russia. And then he says, then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them back on. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. Just that simple threat of possible.
I think he did what he set out to prove, though, where the city of London and Iran have this symbiotic relationship. Neither succeeded this go around.
Yeah,
we are moving tankers, and all he has to do is say, "We're watching."
And again,
we've taken out 30 ships as of I think today was announced.
And again, just the threat of providing Navy. Ships to guide, oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Just the threat of that is enough, because then you're putting the city of London to have to measure up, and they can't. No way.
And we're going to see, right? We got tomorrow and Wednesday are these 2 big meetings. The big one is Wednesday. It's going to be intriguing to see what the players that have to say, because their name, and I could have added more, but as you can see, it took a while to get through what I had. I've got the names of the people, 3 lords that are very upset with what's going on right now and doing everything they can to thwart exposure.
Their own exposure.
And
then,
which is why I think Mendelsohn was a risk to them. He was arrested because he was a threat to them. I think what he exposed to Epstein, we're watching play out right now.
And hopefully at some point here, for those who maybe segued from my It Needed to Be Said, where we went into the 3 women that are being interviewed under caution by Met Police over enabling Mohammed Al-Fayed's alleged abuse. Now that he's dead, of course, because the only 2 people,
he and his brother, they're both dead.
Brothers, but there's one other brother that's still alive, apparently.
Well, the thing is it doesn't. And I find it interesting because it's not the Fayed estate that's putting up the money. Okay. In fact, his 2 sons were put in jail for stealing the pension fund out of the Fayed estate. But it's Qatar that's doing it. So they're shaking down Qatar. And save it to say, I mean, you can look it up. The city of London is very upset with Qatar. They thought Qatar joined in on all of this. And so they become an access point for Trump when he did his Middle East tour. Now all of a sudden we got this. By the way, the document they're using to determine payouts for these some 200 victims is on its 17th iteration. Just
oh, come on.
yeah. But I'll show that on Thursday with It Needed to Be Said. I think that is this week, right? It Needed to Be Said.
Yes. And then World's Richest Arm Dealers is a forgotten legend who almost brought down U.S. government.
You're talking Iran-Contra.
I'm talking Adnan Khashoggi.
Adnan Khashoggi.
The billionaire international arms dealer.
You do remember that Trump, because he collapsed, Trump bought his yacht in a flash sale.
Yep.
It was called the Nabila. Now it's called the Princess, which Trump has since sold. He doesn't even like boats. By the way, neither does Epstein. They don't like boats.
They don't like boats. I wonder why. Robert Maxwell?
Yeah, I don't know. Robert Maxwell being found in the ocean.
Yeah.
Falling off his own yacht.
Falling. And then you got to also think, too, wow, this is one big connected web because Khashoggi is an interesting family when you realize, well, the fellow there that Princess Diana was having an affair with, Dodi, who was his mother. His mother was a Khashoggi.
Right.
Wait, what? Get out of here. It's one big web.
What did he say about Princess Diana's son, Dodi? Innocent victims.
They were murdered. Yeah, innocent victims. But a guy who makes a claim as large as that his son and the one and only Princess Diana were murdered because that guy is interested in what? Human trafficking?
Now, does that make sense to you?
That doesn't make logical sense.
How many
stupid
times,
man would do that.
How many times in the more recent history has the narrative that we've all gone with all these years been upended? Every single time.
Every single time. And the other thing, too, is, and I make this is the thing that popped in my head immediately was, okay, if I wanted to make people like Jeffrey Epstein, or let's say Al Fayed, maybe, if I want to make anybody tied to them toxic,
you give them a bad boy personality.
You give not only that, but you make claims that they're the world's most prolific pedophile.
Yeah, I mean, they've finally started editing their comments where they say convicted pedophile. Now he's a convicted trafficker or convicted sex offender.
Trafficked to nobody.
He trafficked to nobody.
Right.
There's no incidences of trafficking. There's no client list. There's no incidences of blackmail.
Which we're right on the cusp of that narrative cracking, because a lot of people, even in the now former for us, narrative that he is, was trafficking, satanic ritual, all this shit, where a lot of people like, but wait, Pam Bondi is not arresting anybody. He just, trafficked to nobody? They're not far. They're not far from cracking this narrative, but it's going to be a bigger crack. It's coming. It's coming in the coming weeks. If not, I'm not even going to say a few months. It's coming.
We already showed you where Brad Edwards would get emails from his victims, and he put them into the folder
and
called what?
They're not happy. They're not
hypocrites, murderers, and rapists.
Right.
I mean, that's an odd folder.
Yep, that's. They were pissed, and that was I'm sorry, that was 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, that's recently. As he's looking for victims, he's filing their emails.
Oh, not just him, Massengill. Sorry, Massey. MTG, Rokana, et cetera, et cetera. Shout out to Belushi. Thank you for the can. Says great job, Feisty. You did a great job explaining the foundation. Now, Belushi is somebody who would understand a lot of what you said.
Good. He gets to explain it to you on.
I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a lot of people that, because they
That's
don't,
fine.
and myself included, I'm still learning a lot about finance, economy, and all that. But yeah, there's going to be a lot.
Well, thank you, Belushi, for saying that. I take that as a compliment.
He understands the market. You two would be.
I did the best I could to make it as simple as I could. That's why I said ooh ah over my graphics. I worked hard on those, by the way. Thank you, AI. But it took me a while to get AI to do it exactly as I wanted. And I even had to take a time out on one of them because I had asked too many questions. And I'm using the free version. But nevertheless, I wanted to show how we have the U.S. dollar, but it was actually City of London controlling the dollar, and how the Consolidated Appropriations Act, the Omnibus, that huge omnibus in 2022, actually quietly moved control back to the Treasury.
It's almost like you took that question or concern that I had, because I was having a conversation with a former liberal friend. Well, he's still my
You mean
friend.
that conversation we talked about?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's almost like you took that conversation I had where I said, I'm like, dude, it's the City of London. They're the tip of the spear. And he's like,
Now
there's
you
no
have 3
way. There's no
slides.
way. Hold on. He's like, there's no way it could be. Look at the GDP of America compared to the GDP. And I presented this to you, and that's the wrong
And
argument.
then I went in.
It's not the
I
GDP
sat down.
you have to look
I was
at.
working on it all night just for you, Sean.
It's not the GDP you look at. It's the shadow banking.
The shadow banking, no matter how much GDP we have, it's not paying off our debt. It's not, I mean, it's barely even covering our expenses. No matter how high the GDP goes up, we're always right in
So
the
the
deficit
City of
area.
London has ensured that we're spinning our wheels.
We're spinning our wheels.
Okay. That's a good summary right there. Thank you, Chris Doom, for the cookie. So this could and should be a hell of a birthday gift tomorrow. Asking for a friend. I think you're talking about the, the meeting or the meeting tomorrow, Treasury, I think. And thank you to Mitchell DM for the cookie. Cookie Bank. Shout out to Mitchell DM. Thank you for that EMP earlier as well, brother. I'll be live tonight, guys, at 9:30 for the news over on America Rising Media on Rumble, X, Pill.net. Johnny's live right now. We're going to go raid Johnny. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you, Feisty.
Thank you, everybody.
For joining. And you guys should be able to find this on YouTube shortly, as I will upload it hopefully before the day is over. Shout out to Mitchell DM with yet another phone call from Mitchell. God bless. Thank you so much, brother. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts, just hang in there, ignore the noise. What's really happening couldn't be more exciting.
No.
The winning. I made the joke. We're winning so much, I'm exhausted.
Trump made
It's
that
hard to
post
keep
just
up.
a couple weeks, about a week or two ago. I'm getting tired of all the winning.
I'm not tired of it, but I am tired. I am exhausted trying to document it.
That's right. Well,
But thank you, everybody. I greatly appreciate the comments. I really do. I worked hard on this presentation. By the way, just say it. It looked amazing.
Yeah, it
didn't
looked amazing, especially with that new avatar that you got there. Oh,
Yes, yeah, you like that avatar.
Yes, I do. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. I will hopefully see you all tonight. Wow, this is a late one, so I'll see you guys shortly. Go over to let Johnny know. Go show Johnny some love, and we'll see you guys soon. God bless.
Whispers in the static, questions in the fire. The veil is torn and the seeker never tired. eyes of flame, unmasking the players in the shadowed game, where the silence breaks, the hidden shakes. She names the unspoken